grid. It'll be at the bottom of your screen. You can watch to see where your favorite driver qualified. Denny Hamlin on the pole in his Rockwell Automation Chevrolet. Outside front row, Carl Edwards.
Reed Sorensen, after last week and not having a good qualifying run, is going to be starting third.
We talked about David Gilliland starting up front, 4th position. Danny O'Quinn, 2nd time in the last 2 weeks, a top 5 starting spot. Look for him to have a good run tonight also.
There's Kyle Busch inside row number 5 alongside Nextel Cup competitor J.J. Yaley in the 18 car.
Great run for Augie Vidovich. 11th place starting run.
There's our point leader Kevin Harvick inside row number 7 alongside Kenny Wallace.
Todd Cleaver had a good qualifying run last week. I think they've got a pretty good car for tonight.
Row number 10. So row number 9, Mike Wallace and John Andretti.
Bernie Lamar starting. A little bit further back than what he wants to be, but
also Clint Boyle, you saw him. He'll be starting 21st. Certainly a little bit further back than we anticipated him, but it'll be fun to watch him try to make his way through the pack.
Saw David Rudeman inside row number 13. He actually has not even been in that car till right now. He ran the truck race in Michigan earlier today. Mark Green qualified that car because of the driver change. They will have to go to the very back of the pack.
Greg Biffle back in 30th. We talked about him in the pre-race, deciding not to come get any practice time before qualifying. He's starting back in 30th. You can look for him to make his way to the front also.
There's Chris Cook, driving instructor, inside row number 18 alongside Jason Leffler, who had such horrible luck last week at Nashville. Never even ran the first lap of the race.
Let's not jinx him tonight. Mark McFarland in the Dale Jr.'s car in row 20.
Jamie Mosley, the 49 car, inside row number 21, crashed during qualifying. He will have to go to a backup car. He will also go to the back of the pack along with David Rudeman. Let's go down track side to Mark Garrow.
You know, Phil Parsons, one guy who desperately needs a good run tonight is David Green. He's going to start that Kleenex Ford in the 12th spot. He comes into this race with only 1 top 10 this year. That was a 9th at Phoenix. He's led just 1 lap. He's finished on the lead lap in just 6 of the first 15 races. He comes into this race 19th in points. Those are not typical David Green numbers. Glenn Jarrett.
Well, Mark, perhaps the best feel-good story of the night here tonight is car number 84. That's young David Gilliland from Riverside, California. He was a qualify or go-home guy. He drove his Chevrolet up to 4th place on the starting grid in only his 5th start in this series. His crew chief is former Cup crew chief Billy Wilbert. They plan on running 20 races if they can put the money together, run a full season next year, looking for a good finish tonight. Final thing from here on pit road, tomorrow is Father's Day. I want to tell my dad, Ned Jarrett, happy Father's Day right now, because after church tomorrow, Dad, I'm playing golf. I won't see you till later on.
We certainly echo that, Glenn. We want to wish all the fathers out there a happy Father's Day this weekend. Let's take a look at the weather. What a beautiful day it's been here in Kentucky.
I know these drivers and fans are glad this is a shortly after 8 p.m. start, because a 2 or 3 o'clock race this afternoon would have been tough for the fans and the drivers. But this racetrack's going to come in nice. Great night for racing. Not a cloud in the sky. As you've mentioned a couple times, a great crowd on hand. It's going to be a great race.
Every seat sold for this race. Over 70,000 people. This was the earliest sellout they've had in the history of the Kentucky Speedway. As you can see, our race analysis, race length 200 laps, 300 miles. Our pit road speed is 45 miles per hour. And as you guys can see, the pit window is about 60 to 75 or 60 to 70 laps. And here's Clint Boyer, the AC Delco Chevrolet, driving out of the Richard Childress stables. He will start in the 21st position.
Yeah, the fast race car yesterday in practice. Be starting back there in 21st. We'll just have to wait and see how he moves forward in that traffic.
There's Joel Kaufman, the number 12 Supercuts Dodge out of the Fitz Bradshaw Racing stable. Sharing that ride a little bit. Mike Skinner drove that car last week.
There's our old buddy Herman. We know he'll be excited. No matter win, lose, or draw, we'll just see what we can get out of him.
Next we have Hank's car. Hermie, Carl Edwards.
Yeah, Carl Edwards coming in. Great qualifying run. No surprise there. I look for him to be up front all night. Should be exciting.
I tried to move their position where they were going to land their helicopter, so maybe he'd be late and I'd get to race it, but it didn't work out for me.
Well, what you did last week worked out pretty well for Roush Racing. Carl Edwards winning that race with no practice. Hank did all the practicing in that car, and they end up winning the race.
Well, we got lucky.
We'll have one more lap till we get the green flag. These drivers have to be a little bit careful, Hermie, on the start.
Yeah, two things we want to touch on this start. We've talked about entering turn 3, which is, gives the driver a light feeling in the back end of the car. It feels like the car's going to kind of lose the back end before you get to the middle of turns 3 and 4. So that's a concern to the drivers, especially the first couple laps on these starts, because the cars have a full load of fuel. You don't have as much nose weight on them as they do at the end of a run. That's something to watch out for. And also, this being an impound race, we talked about it last week. These guys are starting this race on scuffed tires, meaning the tires they qualified on them a couple hours ago. They've been sitting. These guys need to really get the tires cleaned off, get the debris cleaned off the tires for a good start, because any little bit of debris or any little bit of sliding the nose of a car, on this restart 2x2 can cause problems for a lot of guys, Hank.
Yeah, we saw some trouble in qualifying. One car slid and hit the wall over in turn 3, spun out, and it's hard enough by yourself, but now, like you say, they're on scuffed tires. They're going to be going in there 2x2. Maybe they won't go in there 3x3 the first lap, but I can't put it past them.
Another thing to feel, you got 15 drivers tonight making their first NASCAR Busch Series start here in Kentucky. A lot of these guys have been practicing by themselves. They've been qualifying obviously by themselves on the racetrack. A lot of these guys, when they drop this green flag, it'll be the first time they've barrel off into turn 1 at close to 200 miles an hour side by side, so it will take them some time to adjust to that.
We watched all the practice, and I didn't see that many cars running together. Typically at a Nextel Cup race, you see all the drivers go up and try to run together to know what their cars are going to do in traffic. I didn't see that much with these Busch cars.
Well, they were very spread out all through practice, and the track's going to get better. Right now, it's cooling off. It's got the most rubber it's had on it, and it should be an exciting race. I look for the group to move out in 3 and 4. Looks like they may have some debris on the back stretch. They're going to keep them going here for one more lap, get that cleaned up, get it good and safe for these guys go.
Gwen, what's going on with Denny Hamlin?
Well, Phil, his crew chief, Dave Rogers, is conditioning him for tomorrow as well as tonight's race. He just came on the radio and told him, Denny, please be sure to drink plenty of water tonight because it's hot here, but also to replenish that fluid all through the race in preparation for tomorrow's race at Michigan. So they're thinking ahead. Get him ready for tonight. Hopefully he already is, but keep him that way for tomorrow's Cup race up in Michigan.
Boy, Glenn, it sure worked last week for that bunch. They had a good top 5 run at Nashville and then came back and won the next day in Pocono, Pennsylvania.
He gets out there up front and gets some clear sailing. I believe he'll be feeling hydrated as he could possibly be.
Yeah, I would say doing these double duties and flying back and forth will be a lot more, difficult for these drivers if they were struggling. But a lot of these guys like Denny Hamlin, like Carl Edwards, as we see on the screen here, both of these guys are competitive and are threats to win every time they get in their race car, whether it's in the NASCAR Busch Series or the Nextel Cup Series. These guys know they have a chance to win, and it makes you look, forward to get to these racetracks.
I was talking to Carl before the race at Nashville last week, and I asked him, I said, hey, is this traveling back and forth these next 3 weeks really going to take a toll? And he said, I don't think so. Number one, it's going to be fun. I mean, all I did was jump in an airplane and sit for an hour and a half. I mean, I would have sat in my motor coach or the lounge or the trailer for an hour and a half. He said, I think it's going to be a blast.
A lot of these guys use that time as kind of like therapeutic time. They get in there and they sit down. They can take a nap, take a rest. They're not practicing at that particular time. Phone's not ringing. They're just, looking forward to the next thing in front of them. But like I said, most of these guys have got good, solid teams on both ends, and that makes it a lot easier.
I asked Carl if he got to take a nap on the way down here on his plane right here. He said, no, he flew the plane.
But leave it to Carl to be that guy.
Get ready for the start. Pace car is going to pull off. Denny Hamlin, Carl Edwards will bring the front row down for the start of the Busch Series action at Kentucky Speedway.
Over 70,000 people on their feet.
Green flag.
Denny Hamlin gets a good. Carl Edwards has problems. He's in the middle. Everybody's splitting him outside and inside. Doesn't look like he got it in gear, or he may have engine problems, guys. He's not going at all.
What a horrible break. That doesn't even look like he's stuck in second gear, does it, Hank?
No, I think that may be an engine problem. He's still not going. He's still at a very low speed. If he did lose the transmission, he's lost it all. I mean, he's not in any gear going, it doesn't look like.
Denny Hamlin will lead lap number 1. That's the 9th race of the season. Trouble already. That's Kevin Harvick, the 21 car. Had some trouble coming off turn number 4. That's Chris Cook taking evasive action through the infield. There's Kevin Harvick. the Coast Guard Chevrolet.
We said this was going to be one hot night, but I didn't expect this here on the first lap.
Could be a terrific break for the 60 car of Carl Edwards if they can get that car back to pit road, make some repairs, and get back out on the racetrack. If it's an engine problem in its terminal, he will finish in 43rd position.
We talked about it when the race started, the lead that Kevin Harvick has over these other guys in the point series. Now, Kevin Harvick has trouble on lap 1, and Carl Edwards has, looks like, severe problems to the 60 car. He's going straight to the garage field.
Straight to the garage area as our leader, Denny Hamlin, brings the field back to the start-finish line. Let's see if we can take a look back at what happened to Kevin Harvick. We see a little damage to the left front corner. You see him up on the high part of the racetrack. There may have been some contact prior to this. He got up in the loose stuff and around his car went. Some guys did some really good maneuvers to get by him while he was spinning down through the racetrack. This is Joel Kaufman's onboard. You're going to see Kevin spin across the racetrack right there.
Yeah, he's really lucky that he didn't get collected by some of these other cars.
We're going to sort it all out here, and we'll see a little bit of the damage on the left front corner of a Coast Guard Chevrolet. I'm sure he'll make some pit stops to try to correct that front fender. We'll be back with more racing action from Kentucky Speedway right after this. Welcome back for NASCAR Busch Series Racing on FX from Kentucky Speedway. There's a good view of Greg Biffle, the Cub Cadet Ford. He came down pit road, looked like he made some repairs to the front balance. He may have run through the grass or trying to avoid Kevin Harvick.
A lot of things going on here on this restart of this race. We also saw John Wood down on pit road. It looked like he had damage to the right side of his car. Kevin Harvick had damage to the right front of his car.
But let's keep an eye on Kevin Harvick. He's on the outside of the front row right there. See if we can keep an eye. Looks like he took off okay, but then right when he got to the start-finish line, the car just didn't go anymore. Let's take a look at it from his onboard camera. Maybe we can hear something there.
Yeah, that does not sound good.
Yeah, he definitely broke something in the drivetrain of that car. Transmission yoke, something like that.
Mark's caught up with Carl Edwards down in the garage area. Mark?
You know, Phil, I thought that if I talked to Carl Edwards again tonight, it would be in victory lane. No, I did not jinx you, man. What happened on the restart? Transmission?
Yeah, I started in second, just thinking I'd go easy on my tires and everything, and shifted to third, and made an awful lot of racket. Jeff McElwain and all the guys that build these transmissions do a great job. I've never broken one like that, so must have been a part failure or something, but there's no gears in it right now. It won't go.
Had to be pretty spooky just staying in the middle and hope everybody broke right and left around you without wrecking you.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. The guys did a great job. We got a great crowd of guys to race with, and everybody did a great job not running us over. I appreciate that.
All right, that's Carl Edwards, obviously disappointed. Let's go to Glenn Jarrett.
And not so much disappointment as surprise down here, Margaro. I asked Shane Wilson, the crew chief on Kevin Harvick's car. They have been in twice, made tire changes, came back in. The left front bailiff was been in. Shane Wilson said that he just simply got down on the apron, flipped the apron, and lost the race car. But no harm done.
Well, we'll be back for the restart right after a few messages here. You're watching Busch Series Racing on FX. Welcome back to Kentucky Speedway, NASCAR Busch Series Racing on FX. What an incredible first lap we had. Our two top guys in points both had trouble on lap number 1 separately.
I can't believe that. I mean, the 60 car, they never have problems, have a problem right off the bat. Harvick spins out. I cannot believe the first lap that we have seen tonight.
The complexion of this race has changed tremendously only in one lap. Two of our top 2 contenders that we were looking for to battle it out, possibly to win this race. Carl Edwards is definitely out of contention. Kevin Harvick is still on the lead lap, but he's got a long ways to go coming from the back of the pack.
Denny Hamlin, the Rockwell Automation Chevrolet, will lead the field down to the restart. Green flag. Mike Wallace, the 1 car, was penalized a lap for pulling up to pit. Got trouble right just before the start-finish line. Morgan Shepherd, the 0 car, gets turned around.
Another close call for Kevin Harvick as he missed him on the bottom side that time. Morgan Shepherd, these restarts are really giving these guys a difficult time. They can't even make it to a trouble spot in turn 3. Well, that's where Kevin Harvick, lost it. But a lot going on in the first part of this race. We need to settle this thing in and try to get some green lap racing in.
It's going to be a big break for Mike Wallace. We mentioned just a minute ago that he was penalized a lap. Here's going to be the very tail end of the spin. There looked like there was some contact possibly by the 88 car of Mark McFarland. But Mike Wallace, who was penalized a lap by NASCAR for pulling up to pit, more than likely will be the recipient of the lucky dog. We're not sure. We're trying to get confirmation from NASCAR now as to whether he will get the lucky dog or not. We'll let you know when we find that out.
Yeah, it looks like that 0 car had a little mark there on the right rear corner. Maybe there was some contact there to cause him to spin. I don't know if he missed a shift or, you know, anytime you're on these restarts and you guys got guys nose to tail and there's no telling what's going to happen. You know, it's always the 4th one back rule. Someone misses a gear about 4 cars back where you see it all happen. Right there's the damage I was talking about. I'm sure someone got in the back of him, causing him to spin.
Probably Mark McFarland. We caught a glimpse of Mark McFarland. Looked like the grill was pushed in a little bit on the front of his car. You can see there just almost looks like there's a hole.
Yeah, you can see the damage right there on the hood.
So he probably made some contact with Morgan Shepherd. Mike Wallace is our Aaron's lucky dog. He's the recipient for this caution flag. Good break for Mike Wallace. He got penalized a lap, and a lap later he gets it back. So he gets back in contention on the lead lap.
2 good pieces of good fortune for Kevin Harvick. 1, he misses Morgan Shepherd and doesn't get caught up in the wreck. 2, if they need to do some more work on their car, he'll have some more caution laps come down pit road to repair the damage that was done on his first lap crash. A lot of damage on the nose and the right front fender of J.J. Yaley.
Glenn, what's going on with J.J.?
Well, guys, Stephen Wallace came down on him and made contact. At least that's the story J.J. told his crew, and has got the fender in on the tire. He's coming into the pit box right now, and the right front fender is indeed all crunched in. Not only is it rubbing the tire, but it's going to cause some aerodynamic issues as well. So they're going to change right side tires and fill it up with fuel. Of course, he hadn't burned much because we hadn't been able to race much because of all these crashes. But J.J. was none too happy with Stephen Wallace for that incident. He said that Stephen cut him off pretty badly, and it's done some significant damage to the right front. He will be able to continue. However, we're not sure whether they'll be able to fix that thing aerodynamically. Tough break for J.J. early on. At the beginning of the race, his crew chief, Jason Ratcliffe, said, "Come on, man, let's have a good run. Let's try to get the monkey off our back." Evidently, the monkey didn't want to leave.
Glenn, you're exactly right. You know, we talked, there's Stephen Wallace right there. He's the car that J.J. Yaley said made some contact with him. You know, we've talked all year about how the Nextel Cup regulars are dominating the Busch Series. Well, maybe this is one night then it doesn't pay to be a Nextel Cup regular. We've had 3 of the Nextel Cup regulars have trouble with no laps of green flag race.
And from no fault of their own for some of them, it just seems like things are unfolding on those guys. But, you know, Steve Wallace there qualified really good, and J.J. Yaley, they both have fast race cars. Didn't really get to see what happened there, but you know, as a driver, that's your story. You're going to stick to it. I'm sure there's 2 sides. Who knows?
Got a very interested father right there. There's Rusty Wallace, middle of your screen, with the yellow headset on, keeping his eye out on Steve. Great qualifying effort, Hank, as you mentioned, for Steve Wallace. Getting ready to.
1 lap to go.
Flagman giving 1 lap to go. Denny Hamlin, our leader.
We'll try one more time to get this thing started and get some green flag racing in.
Reed Sorensen, the 41 Discount Tire Dodge, in 2nd. David Gilliland, the 84 car, the black car, is in 3rd. Danny O'Quinn and Roush's number 50 Stonebridge Life Insurance Ford.
Danny O had a good start there the last run, and he was trying to make a move on the outside, and the caution came out.
There's J.J. Yaley catching up to the pack. He will have to restart this race at the back of his pack alongside Mike Wallace, who, because he is the Aaron's lucky dog, will have to restart this race from the tail end of the longest line.
Don't you think David Gilliland's heart is pumping about 200 miles an hour right now? Restarting this race in 3rd behind Denny Hamlin, last week's Nextel Cup winner, Reed Sorensen. You know, this guy's in 3rd place, in great position to get a great education, learn a lot behind the wheel of his race car right now.
I tell you, he's got a good head on his shoulders, too. He was a crew chief for his father in the West Series. Ran the West Series last year, won some races, decided to come east and run the Busch Series. Looking for good things out of David Gilliland. Get ready for the restart. Denny Hamlin brings the field down. Green flag.
Looks like Danny O'Quinn and Kyle Busch got great jumps on the outside. You can jump up to the outside. All passing before the start finish line has to be done to the right side. So good jump for those guys.
But you're not supposed to pass anyone until you get to the start finish line. So it didn't look like maybe that they had jumped too soon, but they great, whatever the case may be, great restart by Danny O'Quinn.
The Kyle Busch, he made it 3 wide on the outside.
Denny Hamlin continues to lead the Rockwell Automation Chevrolet.
You know, we did some talking around the garage area last night, and a couple of the cars that people really were talking about, not only Denny Hamlin, but the 41 car, Reed Sorensen. A lot of talk about him being a really good car on the long runs. It'd be interesting to see. But Kyle Busch has got him pinned down on the inside of the racetrack, making a pass on the outside. A lot different story for Kyle Busch tonight than we saw last week in Nashville.
He had so much trouble at Nashville, but we talk about this as a wide, fast racetrack. Kyle Busch already made a pass on the outside. A great power move by Kyle Busch.
We usually see this groove move up as the night goes on. He's using it right now.
Denny Hamlin continues to lead. Kyle Busch now in the second position in the Lowe's Chevrolet. Reed Sorensen maintains the third position. Paul Menard in the 11 car has moved up to the fourth position. There's Clint Boyer right there, the AC Delco Chevrolet. He's moved up to the 12th position. Started way back in the 21st spot, already up to 12th. And now we've run 14 laps. What have we run? 2 of those laps on the green?
This is a tough racetrack when you get behind someone aerodynamically to pass. Kyle Busch's car looks really strong, and if a guy like Clint Boyer can move his way up to the front, you know they have a good race car if they can pass in traffic. They can be fast out front, but it's hard to be fast behind all those cars.
A lot of the guys that started in the back are thinking they're lucky stars, but getting through those first couple cautions without getting caught up or collected with those guys in the back as we go back to our battle for the lead. Kyle Busch zeroing in on Denny Hamlin field.
And Denny Hamlin's had a great car. Kyle Busch is really wanting to make amends over last week. We saw him have so much trouble. They actually used that race as a test session. They came in the pits, changed shocks and things like that, trying to figure out what they needed. Looks like it's working so far.
See him get a little bit wiggle a little bit right there in turn 1 and 2. Get a little tail happy is what I was trying to say. But he's probably pretty free at the start of this race, and as the race goes on, it'll come to him. If you start off free, then you don't have to worry about being too tight at the end of the run. Hopefully, that's usually the point.
Kevin Harvick, our point leader that started off this race by spinning out coming off turn number 4, is already moved up to the 27th position. He's gained a number of spots since this last restart. There's a good shot at Kevin Harvick right there, the Coast Guard Chevrolet out of Richard Childress Stables. He restarted this most recent restart in the 35th position, and he's already up to the 26th spot. There's Michelle Jourdain Jr., the 15 car on the inside. Mark, how's things going with Kevin Harvick?
Well, right now they're obviously going better than they were early on in this race. He's driving one of the RCR's oldest cars in their fleet. They call it Pounder. It got that nickname here at the Kentucky Speedway in 2001. If you remember, Harvick won the inaugural race, but he did it in a backup. Mike Bliss was here subbing and setting the car up in practice, as we've seen some other drivers do this weekend. He had a problem, wrecked that car. They rolled the car out. Kevin went on to victory lane. He nicknamed it Pounder, and he believes that maybe tonight he can punch out another victory at Kentucky with that car.
Great three-way battle for the lead right there. Denny Hamlin, the 20 car, Kyle Busch in the 5, and Reed Sorensen in the 41.
I think we've seen a little bit here with Kyle Busch. When he had that little bit of clean air, when he had a gap between him and Denny Hamlin, he ran Denny Hamlin down in a lap. With that, he's caught him. He's in that dirty air behind the 20, and it's slowed him down a little bit, and has enabled the 41 to come back up to make this a three-way battle. That goes to show you it's one thing to catch somebody, another thing to pass it.
We caught a glimpse of Kyle Busch trying to duck his nose out inside of Denny Hamlin, trying to get some air pushing down on that nose. You see him. Denny Hamlin's right against the white line. There's a good case right there. Kyle Busch just lost the front end in the center of the corner.
I watched Reed Sorensen yesterday in Happy Hour. He's got a really fast race car. He caught those guys from a pretty good ways back, but we'll just have to see if he can overcome all the aerodynamics to be able to get around these guys. I mean, like Hermie said, it's one thing to catch somebody. It's another thing to pass them.
There's Kevin Harvick continue to move up. That's David Rudiman, the 99 car. Remember, not one lap of practice for him in that car. Mark Green did all the practicing and the qualifying. Kevin Harvick 3 wide down the front straightaway. There's J.J. Yaley, the 18 car, who had some trouble early on, right in front of Kevin Harvick.
A lot of times in a case like Kevin Harvick's, damage to the left front of his car, it's not always a bad thing. Those guys getting in and start fixing it, sometimes they get that fender back out even further than it was when it started, and the further they get it out, that's more downforce. And Kevin Harvick is taking advantage of that downforce to get his way back through this traffic. But a good heads up and a good kudos to his crew for getting that car back fixed. And he's still one of the fastest cars on the racetrack.
Good battle right there. That's a battle for the 26th spot. That's Kenny Wallace, the 22 car on the outside. Stephen Light, the Robert Yates driver, in the middle, the 90 car. And J.J. Yaley on the inside. And Joe Gibbs, number 18 car.
Looks like that damage is not hurting J.J. Yaley too much. He started at the back of the pack on this last restart. We showed the damage on pit road before this restart, but he's making his way up through the pack along with Kevin Harvick.
There's a look out the back of Kenny Wallace's car. You see Jason Leffler, the 38 Great Clips car, drive by on the outside. That's David Ruderman, the Aaron's Dream Machine. Battle for the lead outside.
We got a spin right on the front stretch, guys. David Ruderman goes round.
We saw David Ruderman just a few moments ago in that very, very torrid battle with Kenny Wallace and some of the others. There may have been some contact. Kyle Busch did take over the lead. We're hearing from Denny Hamlin. Caution flag is out. Thought for a moment they may leave this race green. David Ruderman got going very, very quickly, but NASCAR decided to go ahead and put out the caution flag.
Had to be some contact. You got a lot of things going on in that part of the racetrack and that part of the pack. A lot of guys, you know, faster cars like the Harvicks and those guys coming up through there. Ruderman, you know, running a good line, running, you know, great pace. A lot of cars looking for one piece of real estate right there.
Good news for David Ruderman in the Aaron's Dream Machine. He did not lose a lap. Let's see if we can take a look. There's Kenny Wallace, the 22, right in front of David Ruderman. Here comes Greg Biffle in the 66. There's the contact we were thinking we saw right there. That was Greg Biffle in the Cup Cadet, number 66.
Just ever so slightly. You can see him. There's not much you can do. I mean, these cars, you're already on the edge. You're trying to run them as free as you possibly can, especially at the beginning of a run, and it doesn't take much contact.
This is Kenny Wallace's onboard. We're going to see the 99 turnaround right in front of him, right behind him. I'm sorry, Greg Biffle got into the back of David Ruderman.
Biffle just decided he didn't want Ruderman up in that spot. Looks like David looked like he had a little bit of a run going, trying to slide him to the top of the racetrack to try to get a run outside of Kenny Wallace. And Greg Biffle was right there, but Greg could have cut him a little bit of a break right there, but just decided that he thought it was going to, you know, take too much of his momentum away and didn't want to get out of the gas.
David Ruderman caught up with the field. He will make his way down pit road, I'm sure, to, if not to change tires, certainly to look at his tires. There's Greg Biffle. The contact was so slight, I don't think there's any damage to the front end of that car.
What do you think we'll see on pit stops? Do you think anybody will pit? Here we are, be 25 laps into the race. What do you think, Phil?
Be 25 laps. That's 37.5 miles. I'm not sure. I think probably more than likely the cars at the back of the pack are going to come in for adjustments, and whether they put tires on or not, they may want to save their tires. All these teams get 6 tires for the weekend. You can use them however you want. Most of the teams will use probably 2 sets of tires in practice, and they will put enough laps on them that they would not want to use them in the race. So you will have 4 sets of tires for the race, 1 to start on and 3 to put on during the race. So some of these drivers, I think, if they need some serious adjustments, they may go ahead and make the adjustments with air pressure, change tires, and I'm not sure that we're going to see the cars up front stop.
You know, Hermie was talking about when you get in an incident and you come on the pit road and they beat the fenders out, and sometimes they get a little bit more, which makes the car a little bit better. Do you think any of these guys will come in and try putting a template on there, just making sure they're exactly right?
Kyle Busch, the 5 car, stays on pit road. Several other cars coming down pit road. There's Carl Edwards coming back to the racetrack. A number of laps down, but there's our Denny Hamlin, our early leader on pit road. This is our Craftsman pit stop.
Reed Sorensen missed his pit box getting in on pit road. He completely missed his pit sign trying to get in his pits. Mark, can you add more on Reed Sorensen?
Well, right now, guys, he came into his pit. He spun it sideways. They started to make adjustments. The NASCAR official said, no way. If you keep doing that, we're going to have to penalize you. So he is now putting the car about 3/4 of the way in the box. And this is a very, very tough pit stop for this race team because they were running fairly well. We're only going to make a slight adjustment on this car. And now we're understanding his transmission is stuck in gear. So more problems for Reed Sorensen here under this caution flag than perhaps they would have bargained for.
Mark, yet another problem from one of the Nextel Cup regulars. It's amazing how the complexion of this race has changed from the time they dropped the green flag. Let's take a look back at the spin by Reed Sorensen. Looks like he just locked the brakes up.
Well, he just almost overshot his pit. I mean, it wasn't an issue with somebody getting into him or him spinning necessarily. He just came by. They didn't, you know, that's got to be the job of the spotter or the crew chief to count him into his pit box. He simply just drove right by his pit box and tried to cut in too late, and it's going to cause him go from second all the way to the back of the pack. Mark, can you add more on this?
You know, guys, sometimes you create your own problems with something that you change that's very simple. They changed the pit sign for this race team. It hangs out over pit wall. It just says discount tire. And apparently, Reed Sorensen just missed it. I mean, he was coming in, he was looking for his pits, but it wasn't not the normal pit sign. He was about to blow on by, saw it late, of course, stomped on the brakes. That cut him sideways and began the spin here on pit road. Now we're understanding that he was able to get the gear, get the car out of second gear, and so they think that perhaps they have solved that issue, although here is Reed Sorensen again coming into the pit area. Things that went so right early on have gone so wrong now for him, so they brought him in. They're going to top him off with Sunoco fuel and send him back on out. So they just decided on a top-off, perhaps to buy a lap or two later on tonight.
There's the 50 car of Danny O'Quinn on pit road. They're looking at the right front fender. I don't know if he made some contact with somebody.
That kind of mistake for Reed Sorensen is a kind of mistake. You cannot make that kind of mistake and expect to win, you know, this type of race. The guy's got a fast race car running up front, you know, up in the top 2 or 3. And this is going to be very, very difficult for him to get back through this traffic, you know, and have a chance to win this race. I'm sure he'll get back. He's fast enough to get back in contention, but will he ever be able to recover all the way back up to the front?
Guys, there's another one of our top 10 in points having some trouble. That's Kenny Wallace. They did some repairs to the front of that car. Obviously, he made some contact with somebody. They put the 200-mile-an-hour tape on that AutoZone Ford. Doesn't look like he's got a great deal of damage. It looked like he just poked a hole right above the grill into the hood.
Just a lot of bumping and grinding. We're seeing a lot of guys with hood damage and nose damage and fender damage. We're getting ready to go green right here, guys. So he's going to have to catch up to the field.
Carl Edwards is back on the racetrack. He's this car right here on the inside. He is 24 laps down on this restart, but field every point, every position will count as he's running for this championship.
Green flag. Kyle Busch is our leader. He stayed on the racetrack along with Paul Menard. David Gilliland stayed out on the racetrack. David Green has moved up into the 4th position. 3 wide. Denny Hamlin on the outside.
This looks a lot like last week when Denny stayed out and everybody else came in. It's kind of the same scenario we had right here. It'll be interesting to see how this works out for Kyle Busch.
That's Joel Kaufman's onboard we were looking at. There's Denny Hamlin. Kevin Harvick, the 21 car. That's Ashton Lewis, the Team Marines Ford right in front of them, the 25. Back to our lead, Kyle Busch. 2, 3 wide here.
Harvick's had his hands full all night. He's in the middle of everything.
Glenn Boyer right there looks to, oh, trouble. Jason Leffler, the 38 car.
Ooh. 34 car, hard impact with the inside of the wall on the backstretch there.
That's Jeff Fuller in the 34 car. Jason Leffler gets his car moving. Not sure exactly what happened to Jason Leffler. 2 weeks in a row, bad luck for Jason Leffler. Last week he never even took the green flag, and this week early on, trouble.
Yeah, we're at lap 29. He's got a lot of damage to his car right there. Didn't see exactly what happened over in the turn 2 area. We've been worried about turn 3. Seems like that's where most of the action goes on in those areas, but it's been everywhere but there tonight.
Classic case of the, you know, the phrase we use a lot in racing, cautions breed cautions. We just get back, you know, from a restart. Some guys with new tires, some guy with old tires, and a lot of guys got a lot of different things going on, and they seem to keep bunching themselves up and causing these problems.
We'll sort it all out when we come back as they make repairs to the brake clips. Chevrolet of Jason Leffler. We'll be back with more Busch Series racing from Kentucky Speedway. Welcome back to Kentucky Speedway, NASCAR Busch Series racing on FX. We're under caution right now for an incident on the backstretch. Jason Leffler, the 38 Great Clips Chevrolet, had some trouble, got turned around coming off turn number 2, and Jeff Fuller, in trying to avoid him, made some contact with the inside wall. NASCAR is working right now to get Jeff out of that car. They are going to cut the roof off, and a lot of times that just makes it easier to get the driver out.
That was a hard hit. He did a good job to avoid the 38, but that was a big wreck.
Yeah, the 38 second week in a row. I mean, having problems. He just got, you know, turn around on the backstretch, and Jeff Fuller comes off, and he's got two choices. He can hit the 38 in the side, and he takes evasive action, and he ends up making contact with the inside wall, as you see the damage there on the 38 car on pit road.
Yeah, Jeff Fuller in the 34 car did not run into the 38 of Jason Leffler. He was trying to avoid him and did avoid him, and he made some contact with the inside wall over the center of the backstretch. Jason Leffler will continue to come down pit road to make repairs. There's a good shot of Clint Boyer, a two-car. He's in the 14th position right now. Kyle Busch continues to lead here at Kentucky Speedway. Paul Menard second, David Gilliland in third. Kyle Busch trying to overcome a poor race last week at Nashville. Done a great job, had a good qualifying effort. Got our lead right now. We're going to sort it out, and we'll be back to Kentucky Speedway for more Busch Series racing right after this. We're back at Kentucky Speedway, NASCAR Busch Series racing on FX. NASCAR has decided to stop the field. They're parked over as they exit of turn number 4. There you see Kyle Busch, the Lowe's Chevrolet. He's our leader. Paul Menard second. David Gilliland with a great run in third. David Green fourth. And Tim Sauter in the 36 car in fifth. NASCAR is working to remove Jeff Fuller from his car on the backstretch. Jason Leffler had some trouble, spun out coming off turn number 2, and trying to avoid Jason Leffler. Jeff Fuller made some contact with the inside wall. There's a view of Carl Edwards right there. He's being shown 23 laps down. Lost a transmission on the very start of the race. Was forced into the pits and had to go to the garage area to change transmissions, and currently running 23 laps down.
That makes for a long night or a long day, you know, when you have problems like that right off the bat and you're just doing all you can to go out there and collect points.
And we know he's got a good car, and that's what's really frustrating, Hermie, when you're 23 laps down, but you know you've got a car capable of running up front.
Yeah, but he's certainly aware that, you know, every point is crucial, you know, in this battle for the Busch Series Championship. You know, Kevin Harvick has some problems too, but, you know, he was able to stay on the lead lap and has been making some progress back up through the field. And so these guys have got to get back on the racetrack, get as many points in position as they can, is to not get, you know, Kevin Harvick's already got a 275 or so point lead, and they can't afford to let Kevin Harvick get completely out of sight. So they got to get every lap they can, every point they can moving forward.
We're getting reports that Jeff Fuller was moving as you see them loading him in the ambulance. They will, I'm sure, take him to the infield care center to be checked out, and we will give you an update just as soon as we get one from NASCAR. Here's a look at what happened. You're going to see Jason Leffler, top right of your screen, have some trouble off turn number 2 there. He's already made contact with the outside wall. Here comes Jeff Fuller to avoid hitting him right in the door. He turns his car hard left, but unfortunately he's not going to be able to spin it around. He's going to make some awfully hard contact with the inside wall.
Phil couldn't hit it in a worse place. I mean, it was angled to the opening on the pit, inside wall on the backstretch. There's an opening there. Hit at a bad angle, hit flat, you know, right there. Just a bad place to do that. But what Jeff Fuller was trying to do was trying to avoid hitting Jason Leffler. You know, you're thinking it looks like there's a lot of time to make decisions here, but this is a split-second decision, you know, from Jeff Fuller to come. If you'll notice, as he comes into the picture here, he's heading right for the door for Jason Leffler, decides to make a hard left to miss contact with Jason Leffler, and went right into the inside wall, hit it, you know, at exactly the wrong spot where that opening is on that flat contact. And as you know, that flat part of the wall there is a bad place to do it.
Guys, there's Jason Leffler right there. Watch his right hand there. You see him moving his right hand. That's a great thing to see right there.
Jeff Fuller right there.
Yeah, that's a good thing to see. It looked like, you know, like you were saying, Hermie, he did a great job to miss that. You can see how fast they're going right here.
You look at that at speed. At speed, it really puts it into perspective, the kind of contact he made with the inside wall. So very, very good sign to see away from Jeff Fuller.
You can see it right here on this shot. You can see the safer barriers right there. Unfortunately, in that part of the racetrack, there were not any safer barriers. And as you mentioned, Hermie, Jeff Fuller made some contact right at the opening, so the angle was even probably worse than it would have been otherwise. Mark, give us an update.
Well, you know, guys, you talked about Jeff Fuller moving. Earlier, he had radioed to his crew that he told them basically, I'm okay, but I'm in a lot of pain. And, of course, that's sort of a good thing because he never apparently lost consciousness despite that very heavy wreck. And they're certainly going to take him to the infield care center. And I bet that he'll go to the local hospital for at least a checkup. But really good news when he radioed his crew. Said that, you know, I'm okay, guys. The car's tore up and I'm in a lot of pain. But otherwise, you know, when a guy can walk and talk his way away from something like that, that's a good sign.
Well, thank you very much, Mark. That is a good sign for Jason. And I'm sure you got all of us have been in those situations when you hit it always hurts. We'll be back and we'll see if we can get this race restarted. We're watching Busch Series racing from Kentucky Speedway. Fox, FX, and Speed's coverage of NASCAR continues tomorrow, beginning with NASCAR Race Day on Speed, leading up to Nextel Cup Series racing presented by AOL on Fox. And then NASCAR Victory Lane wraps up the entire weekend on Speed. Our coverage of NASCAR continues all weekend long across the Fox networks. Here's our front row from Michigan. Casey Kane with his 4th pole of the season. Jeff Gordon's 2nd front row start on the outside of the front row. Tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern on Fox. Car still on the racetrack here. Early on, we've only run 33 laps. As you can see, 16 of those laps were run under caution. We've had 4 cautions already, 1 red flag, and 3 cars already out of the race.
You see why those guys are always parked up like that. They always do that in case the motors won't start back up, so you can stick it in gear, push the clutch in, and roll down, get your car started off. Man, we look at the 34 car right there. That is a ton of damage. That's not even the side he hit on. I mean, that is a ton of damage.
And it makes it look worse that the roof has been cut off, so the roof is not exactly where it would be. But here's another look at the wreck. Look at the top of your screen. You're going to see Jason Leffler gets up on the loose stuff, spins out. Jeff Fuller tries to avoid him and makes awfully hard contact with the inside wall. Let's take another angle right here.
Yeah, the 38 car just gets up high, loses control. You'll see Jeff Fuller come into the picture. If he'd have kept straight right into the side of the 38 car, makes a hard left to avoid contact with the 38 car. And as we've all seen and kind of marveled at, unbelievable contact with the inside wall coming off turn 2 in the middle of the backstretch at a bad place, right when the angle is opening on pit of the wall on the back straightaway. And in that opening, there's a flat spot there. As the wall curves around, we might want to get a look at that so we can show it. But just pancake contact right to the inside of that wall on the backstretch. You see right there, right here, there's a flat spot right there on the inside of that wall as the opening comes into the backstretch, and he hit flat against the inside of that wall. And as you know, Phil, if you're going to crash these cars, you see a lot of guys, flipping and going down the straightaways and stuff like that, but nothing is worse than impact from when you're going 70, 80, in his case, probably over 100 miles an hour sliding to 0. Those are the ones that hurt.
It looks like he was not able to kill much of the speed on that car. Field back underway. We're going to be back for a restart here in just a moment from Kentucky Speedway. Welcome back to the Meijer 300 presented by Oreo. Kyle Busch leads after 35 laps. Paul Menard second, David Gilliland third, David Green fourth, and Tim Sauter rounds out the top 5. Let's take a look back at what's happened so far. Right after our green flag, Carl Edwards doesn't go.
Man, he just had a big transmission problem. He said he shifted into 3rd gear. His flat did not go.
Same lap, Hermie.
Same lap, a lot going on. It could have been, with Carl Edwards' problem, the field was checking up a little bit. Kevin Harvick spins out, damaged the left front of his car. There you see Morgan Shepherd going around, and it doesn't stop there, Phil.
There's David Ruderman, the 99 car, gets a little bump from the back from Greg Biffle. Around he goes.
Reed Sorensen having another transmission problem, they said. He couldn't get it out of gear, spun on pit road.
And here's our bad accident that brought out the red flag. That's Jeff Fuller. Makes such hard contact that they're trying to avoid the spinning car of Jason Leffler. There's Jeff right there. You see him moving his hands around. Good sign. There's our Aaron's lucky dog right there, Carl Edwards. Now he was 24 laps down. Now he's only 23.
Just 23 more to go, buddy.
Well, the way we've been going, if we have that many more caution flags, Carl might be able to get all his laps back.
We did want to add, we got word that they are going to helicopter Jeff Fuller out to the local hospital for further evaluation, but a good sign that he was able to raise his arms up. We're all happy to see that and hope he's going to be okay. Very, very hard. It's hard to justify the kind of contact he made. So we're glad to see him moving, and going to check him out for further evaluation.
And as Mark told us, he told his crew that he was okay and in a lot of pain, and that was pretty obvious. Get ready for the restart. Kyle Busch will bring the field down. Restart will be on lap number 37.
They only have one lap car to deal with, and that is Carl.
That's actually Jason Leffler on the inside.
That's right.
Green flag.
Good restart by Kyle Busch. He really likes the feeling out front. After last week, he wants to get out front, clear the lap traffic, and get going. And that clean air will enable him to run the line he wants to run and set the pace he wants to set.
We see that so many times when cars get out in clean air. And it could be 3 or 4 different cars throughout the course of the race. When they get out in clean air without the dirty air, their cars really like it, and they're able to drive away from the guys they're racing with. There's John Andretti, the 10 car on the inside of the 88 of Mark McFarland, following the 59 Kingsford car of Stacy Compton.
One thing we were able to see about Kyle Busch is he was able to pass. He would use the outside groove. He would do whatever it took. But he was able to pass. So, I mean, you're going to be double fast if you're fast in traffic, and you can be at least get out front. Now you know you're going to be fast.
There are teammates right there. Denny Hamlin, the 20 car on the outside. J.J. Yaley, the 18 car on the inside as they enter turn number 3.
Only a few laps ago, J.J. Yaley was on pit road with a lot of damage to the right front. You can still see the damage on the front of his car, and he is making his way to the front in a hurry, passing Denny Hamlin with relative ease.
That's Tim Sauter, the National City Financial Chevrolet right in front of him. Good run for him thus far in the 36 car. J.J. looks to the outside. He's going to be able to make that move to the outside of Tim Sauter.
Looks like this outside groove is really working its way in fast. They ground the track since last year, so some differences to the track, and it looks like this outside groove is really paying off right now.
Looked like Denny Hamlin got out there to try to follow J.J. Yaley by Tim Sauter. Wasn't able to work. Looked like he lost the front end. That allowed a couple cars to get by him, one of those being the 21 of Kevin Harvick. There's J.J. Yaley right there. He's currently in the 5th position. On the lap 11 restart, he was in 36th spot. Now, some of that is by virtue of the fact that a lot of drivers made pit stops after he did.
He had already made his pit stop, so he could just stay out there. Gave him a lot of track position, but he obviously has a fast race car. I think Glenn's got more on the 20 car.
Well, guys, on that first round of pit stops, he gave up second place, so Denny Hamlin just came in for a pit stop. Reason for it was the car was extremely tight to the center off, so they made a track bar adjustment, also changed 4 tires, made an air pressure adjustment. When he went back on the track, coming back up through traffic, he made contact with the 06 car of Todd Cleaver. It did some damage to the left side, particularly to the left rear of Denny's car. He has reported a vibration on the car, and he is not, the car does not feel good to him right now. That's why he's back.
Yeah, Glenn, he has dropped back to the 9th position. There's Clint Boyer right there. He's currently being shown in the 12th spot. Started back in the 21st position. That's Todd Cleaver, the 06 Ford right in front of him. It's side-by-side battle right there. That's the battle for the 16th position. That's John Andretti in the 10 car. Bernie Lamar, the 77, the Dollar General car on the inside. Stephen Light, the City Financial Ford, number 90 on the outside.
Pretty tight racing right there. You could see that tried to block that position getting down in the corner. Some close racing.
While these guys are battling side by side field, Kyle Busch has that clean air running some of the fastest laps of the race, and he's over to a huge lead. These guys just restarted this race several laps ago, and he's got a huge lead right now on Paul Menard, and impressive David Gilliland still in 3rd position, hanging on the back bumper of Paul Menard.
Kyle Busch just ran his fastest lap of the race the last time by at a 30.579. He's about a 1/10 of a second slower than that. Here's a good battle for fifth. There's J.J. Yaley, the 18 car on the inside. Takes over the 4th position from David Green.
JJ's got a fast race car. He had a fast race car last night in happy hour. It's showing tonight. He's really able to pass in traffic.
Apparently that damage to the right front corner of that car has not hurt it. Kyle Busch continues to lead. There's Kyle right there. He's going to approach the start-finish line. There's Paul Menard in 2nd. David Gillen. There's the 4th place car of J.J. Yaley right there, the Vigoro Home Depot Chevrolet. What a terrific run for David Gilliland. He stayed right with 11 of Paul Menard. You know, he had a great qualifying effort. We wondered if maybe he was going to be able to stay up there. He's running third. This is only his 7th career Busch Series start. His best finish is 29th earlier this year at Texas.
His lap times are consistently, you know, as fast as the guys up front. There's no trip. He's up there. He's been up there since the restart. Kyle Busch has gotten away a little bit, but he's every bit as fast right now as Kyle Busch and Paul Menard, who is running right in the tail in the tracks of Paul Menard.
He's been very consistent with having the 2nd fastest race time on the racetrack. Another guy who's really fast, but as we've talked about tonight, is J.J. Yeley. He's hunting those guys.
Billy Wilburn is the crew chief on that 88 car. David Gilliland, he's got a lot of Nextel Cup experience. David Gilliland looks to the inside of the 11 of Paul Menard, trying to take over the 2nd spot.
Billy Wilburn has a lot. You mentioned Billy Wilburn, a longtime crew chief for Rusty Wallace in the NASCAR Nextel Cup Series. So you know a lot of good knowledge going into the 84 car. But hey, that guy's got to get in there and drive the car, and he's in there turning the wheel and standing on the gas. Just took over 2nd spot in the 84 car. Says a lot for the smaller, underfunded part-time teams. But this guy can pass a guy like Paul Menard out of the DEI stables. You know, it gives the little guys a little bit of hope. This guy's doing a whale of a job right now.
He sure is. West Series competitor from last year. There's J.J. Yeley, the 18 car. He's in the 4th position. Going to take a look back at Kevin Harvick. He's made his way all the way up to the 6th position. We saw the trouble he had on lap number 1. He spun coming off turn number 4. Had to make some pit stops. Caution flag on the racetrack.
Looks like maybe the 38 again.
Looks like Jason Luffler and the Great Clip Chevrolet made some more contact with the wall. There's a lot of damage front and rear to that car.
They've had a tough 2 weeks.
Well, they sure have. A lot of damage to the front of that car. Mark, what went on with Jason Luffler?
Well, not quite sure exactly what, Phil, but he had been talking about 3 or 4 laps ago. He had radioed to his crew and said, you know what, guys, I can't drive it like this. This thing is totally out of control. And they were talking about making some major changes to the race car on a pit stop, and maybe, as we saw last week with Kyle Busch, actually turning things into a test session, because if they made changes that may cost him a lap or 2. But he'd been complaining about that race car big time before that wreck.
Yeah, I talked to crew chief Todd Lozier before the race, and he said that's a brand new car here. We're very, very optimistic.
Well, he was right. I mean, you know, sometimes as a driver, you want to stay out there and push it to the limit and try to just overcome it. Right there, it did not work out for Jason.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens on pit road here. We got a lot of guys on some different pit cycles right now. Some guys stayed out last time. Some of the guys in the back pitted. So it'll be interesting to see what these guys want to try to do is be in the right spot at the end of the race as far as tires and fuel are concerned. Also, one thing I want to keep our eye on that Hank and I talked about earlier today is let's watch this 84 on pit road. If he comes down pit road, he's in 2nd spot. One of the things that doesn't get enough attention, I think, in these Busch races is the Nextel Cup guys or the Nextel Cup influence. These guys really have an advantage on pit road, so it'll be interesting to see how the 84 can hold his own on pit road with some of these bigger teams.
Kyle Busch comes down pit road.
We're going to have triple pits here. This is our Craftsman pit stop. We're going to have Kyle Busch, David Gilliland, and Paul Menard. Top of your screen, Kyle Busch, David Gilliland in the middle, and Paul Menard on the bottom. See right side tires going on Kyle Busch's car. This is the first race that David Gilliland is going to use his own pit crew. He's been borrowing Nextel Cup pit crew members before. This is the first race they're going to use their own people. We're going to see how they stack up. Pretty decent pit stop for Kyle Busch. Top of your screen, 16.2 seconds. See Paul Menard, his pit work is just about done. Good job for him, 15.3 seconds. David Gilliland just now jacking up the left side. Hermie, you hit it right on the head. We're already at 20 seconds, 21.5 seconds for his pit stop. As you talked about, it takes every piece of the puzzle here. They obviously have a fast car. David Gilliland doing a great job wheeling it. They had some trouble on pit road.
Well, I run a limited Nextel Cup schedule myself. We run into the same thing. So much focus goes into getting the car to run fast. You got to qualify on speed. You get in the race or you go home. 99.9% of your efforts on getting the car to go fast and run good, and not enough time on his pit crews, Phil.
There's Clint Boyer, the AC Delco Chevrolet. He will inherit the lead. He stayed on the racetrack. We'll be back with our restart right after this. Welcome back to Busch Series Racing on FX. Sponsored by Smooth Busch Beer and easy drinking Busch Light. Busch, proud sponsor of the NASCAR Busch Series, 25 years running. Here's a look at our Craftsman pit summary. And again, some of this is going to be skewed by a lot of the drivers, including Clint Boyer, Greg Biffle, staying on the racetrack. Kyle Busch came in as our leader, came out in the 8th spot. David Gilliland all the way back to the 19th position, came in running second. There's David Gilliland right there. He's got an awfully good race car now, so, and he's got a lot of time left. We're only 52 laps into a 200-lap race.
Well, guys, the easiest place to pass is on pit road, and he lost a lot of positions there. That's going to be hard for him to overcome. It'll be an all-night uphill battle.
1 lap to go, 1/2 lap to go till we get a restart here. See Billy Wilburn, that's him on your standing right there. That's Billy, crew chief.
A lot of experience right there, too. Man, Billy Wilburn knows what these guys need to do. First thing they need to do is have good driving, fast race cars. They've proven tonight that they're well on the way to getting that. And these other things, that, you know, it's not only the pit crew. I mean, how many times has David Gilliland had an opportunity to come down running second in a NASCAR Busch Series race and get in his pit? I mean, it's a lot of things going on at one time. So those guys will definitely, I look for them to get better even on the next stop tonight.
Pace car pulls off. Clint Boyer leads the field down for the restart. The top 5 stayed on the racetrack that time. Clint Boyer, Greg Biffle, Kevin Grubb, Joel Kaufman, and Chris Cook. Green flag.
Bernie Lamar gets a great restart right there. He makes him 3 wide.
Kyle Busch, the 5, makes him 3 wide for a moment. There's the 11 of Paul Menard, forced up the hill by the 1 of Mike Wallace.
Those guys aren't afraid to go 3 wide on those green flag starts.
We talk about how tricky these restarts can be. Again, we've got some guys on old tires, a lot of guys coming through there on new tires, a lot of different guys on a lot of different agendas. Is going to take a lot of heads up driving from guys on both pit cycles to let this thing settle in and get single file, then go racing.
Paul Menard looks to make it 3 wide on the outside of Johnny Sauter. That's Paul Menard, the 11 car. Back down to 2 wide now. There's J.J. Yaley, the 18 green car right behind them.
One car gets high.
Looked like Todd Cleaver got up a little bit high into the loose stuff, slowed down a little bit, lost his momentum.
Yeah, you can see him back there losing some positions. There they go 4 wide for just a minute.
Continues to lose positions. That's Ashton Lewis, the 25, and the 36 of Tim Sauter.
That's one place in the racetrack here going in turn 3. We talked about this thing really funnels down to 2 wide. 2 wide is all you want. Then it's back to 4 wide going past the start finish line again. But they cannot make it in the middle of turns 1 and 2 like that. That's
Augie Vidovich, the 4 car on the inside. David Ruderman, the Aaron's Green Machine, the 99, looks for a way underneath. Augie Vidovich pulls up right behind him. Got a great run through the center of the corner.
They're going to take advantage of these tires while they've got them. While they're fresh, go ahead and get all these passes out of the way. It's a whole lot easier to pass on these restarts before you have to worry about aerodynamic tightness.
Hank, what do you call for new tires?
For Mr. Feelgoods, and they are using them up tonight.
There's Danny O'Quinn, the 50 car on the outside. That blue car makes his way around the 43 of Chris Cook. There's our lead right there. That's Clint Boyer, the 2 AC Delco Chevrolet. That's a Cup Cadet Ford of Greg Biffle out and running in second.
Yeah, Phil, let's remember Greg Biffle started back in 30th position. Did not make the trip to Kentucky last night for practice. So his first 2 laps on the racetrack were during qualifying. Started 30th. A lot of it has to do with pit cycles, but he's up in the 2nd spot running some really competitive lap times right now.
Boy, Chris Cook really slowing down. In the middle of that pack, they were going by him inside and outside. They went by him 3 wide there for a moment. Looks like he's still a little bit off the pace on the outside of the racetrack.
Yeah, it looks like he's lost a cylinder, has some type of an engine problem.
There's Kenny Wallace, the AutoZone Ford.
Still not at the full song.
You know, that says a lot about Jason Keller, the confidence that Greg Biffle and Clarence Brewer's team has in Jason Keller. Said, hey, he knows how I want the car. I trust Jason to do it. Greg Biffle decided to stay at Michigan. Jason did all the practice. Greg jumped in that car. It might have hurt him a little bit qualifying. He qualified back in the 30th spot, but he's running right now in the top 2.
Looks like Jason did a great job. I mean, he's working up on the outside. He's working the 2 car, just seeing where he's weak. He's going to take a look on the inside and take a pass for the lead right there going into turn 3.
Greg Biffle takes over the lead in the Cub Cadet Ford out of the Bruco shops. Glenn, how about that for Greg Biffle?
Well, it's pretty surprising, Phil. As much as Greg's been complaining about the car, he thought that he broke something when he took the evasive action early in the race when Kevin Harvick spun down the grass off of turn 4 in front of him. Greg came through the grass, and they came in, made changes on the cars. He kept saying the car was all over the place, didn't get a handle on it, and now he's in the lead, so evidently they got the handle.
Yeah, they sure do. You know, he's one of the more experienced drivers here in the Busch Series. He's raced here 4 times. 3 of those times finished in the 2nd position. I'm sure he'd like to break that string and get him a win. Oh, trouble. Reed Sorensen. A lot of damage to the discount tire Dodge. Cars going by inside and outside, doing a great job getting by Reed Sorensen. That looks like a pretty hard hit, Hermie.
Don't know what happened there, but that's right getting into turn 3, between turns 3 and 4, the area we talked about. It could be tricky for these teams, and a lot of damage there for Reed Sorensen. I know he's disappointed. We talked about it, Phil. Missed his pit box, went all the way to the back of the field, had a long ways to go to get back up to the front, and then ended up getting involved in an accident.
Saw some fuel running out of the overflow.
Right here's your overflow and your gas filler.
Take a look at what happened here. He's going to be left of your screen.
Wow.
Looks like he was by himself. He just got loose at that very, very troublesome spot getting in turn number 3. Remember, that's where the transition from straightaway to corner, the bank really doesn't seem to start quick enough. You have a tendency to get loose right in that area, and that looks like that may have been what happened to Reed Sorensen.
You know, a lot of it is, you know, reality, but a lot of it is just a sensation that you get. You know, you feel like when you get in that corner, the transition doesn't pick you up quite fast enough, and it's just a light feeling with the back of the car. But it would be interesting to see if we can find out exactly what happened to Reed Sorensen. Very much disappointing for that team.
Well, we'll be back to sort it all out here in just a few moments. We're watching Busch Series Racing on FX from the Kentucky Speedway. Kentucky Speedway, Busch Series Racing on FX. There's the remains of the discount tire Dodge of Reed Sorensen. We got a report from Mark during the break that Reed said he had lost a tire going in the corner and then killed the car, and we can certainly vouch for that. And what a tough break for Reed Sorensen.
That's a bad place to cut a tire down. It obviously must have been the left rear. We can see the right rear's up right there. But he's a heck of a race car driver.
Let's take a look at our Supercuts trivia. Who is the only driver to win the Kentucky race and the championship in the same year? You guys know?
Of course I do, but I'm not going to reveal it.
Okay. Hank, do you know? Hermie and I know.
Oh, am I supposed to give you the answer?
Well, we don't want to know if you know.
Oh, yeah, I definitely know.
You definitely know. Okay, you guys, I'm not sure you guys knew, but that's who it is right there. Kevin Harvick back in 2001, the inaugural race here at Kentucky Speedway, won the race and went on to win the championship. And Mark told us earlier he won the race in a backup car.
Pounder. Hermie actually told me that. So.
Did he?
Yeah, he snuck behind you and told me.
Carl Edwards has made another trip to the garage, and now he's back, coming down pit road, back towards the racetrack. Mark, what's Carl doing back in the garage?
Well, right now, Phil, they are so many laps down. They're using this thing as a test session at this point. I just talked to his crew chief, PK Cattell. You know, I asked him, is it now a test session? He looked at me, you know, with that look on his face like, I really wish you didn't ask me that. But yes, it is now a test session.
Just like we saw with Kyle Busch last week, Nashville, he had some trouble early. Car wasn't running to his liking, and he made some changes and used it as a test session. It's obviously working here. He's one of our early leaders and seemed to be dominating the race here before he made his pit stop. We'll try to get this race restarted. We'll be back from Kentucky Speedway right after this. Holiday Inn look again replay. There's Kevin Harvick. His day didn't start out so great. Spun out on lap number 1, necessitated the pit stop. His team put 4 tires on, back on the racetrack, running well as he drives by Joel Kaufman in the Supercuts Dodge. Shane Wilson and his crew has successfully overcome this poor start, and he's being shown right now in the 10th spot. Carl Edwards, closest to him in points, had just the opposite thing happen on the very first lap. His car never went. When the green flag came out, he broke a transmission, had to go to the garage for repairs.
It looked like Clint Boyer was going to be the big gainer here at lap 1, but Harvick's turned it all back around. Carl has continued to have problems there. They're trying some different things on the racetrack, but it looked like he was going to be the big gainer, but Harvick turned it around.
A little bit more about Carl. It's amazing how much from week to week these things can change. You know, Hank you drove his 60 car last week and this week. Last week that car seemed to be on the money from start to finish, and tonight, even though they had problems, the car is not, you know, to Carl's liking as it wasn't to your liking in practice. So now they're using this as a test session, you know, to learn more stuff. You would think that they figured out everything they need to know last week. They'd run good every week, but now, you know, still working on stuff, trying to make things better.
There's Jamie Mosley in the 49 car. He is our Aaron's lucky dog. He will get one of his laps back. Jimmy's being shown 5 laps down. That means there are no cars on the racetrack that are less than 5 laps down.
Are you saying it's my fault, Hermie?
No, I'm saying,
just kidding.
I'm backing up what you're saying, that, that last week you said the car's perfect, leave it alone, it'll be fine. And yesterday you commented that it just was too loose. It wasn't exactly like he wanted it. And Carl really doesn't know. He didn't get a chance to run in race trim around other cars. So once he got the transmission fixed back on the racetrack, they've been working on it all night. So it's the point I'm making is it's amazing how you can have a car be that dominant last week, bring it to somewhat of a similar track this week, and it not perform, the way they think it will be.
Let's take a look at the points as of now. If the race ended right now, Kevin Harvick would have a 352-point lead over Clint Boyer. He would move ahead of Carl Edwards. But fortunately, this race is not going to end right now. We've got an awful lot of racing to go. We've only completed 66 of the 200 laps. A lot of things can happen here in the last 134 laps.
Phil, the record for cautions in this race is 10 cautions, which was in this race last year, 1 year ago. We're not even halfway through the race tonight. We've already had 6 cautions. So unfortunately, we're well on our way to a record night for cautions.
It's not the kind of record that you want to have. Clint Boyer right there, currently second. Started back in the 21st position. Greg Biffle is our leader in the Cub Cadet Ford. Fox, FX, and Speed's coverage of NASCAR continues tomorrow, beginning with NASCAR Race Day on Speed, leading up to the Nextel Cup Series racing presented by AOL on Fox. And then NASCAR Victory Lane wraps up the entire weekend on Speed. Our coverage of NASCAR continues all weekend long across the Fox networks. Got a report here that the attendance for tonight is 72,886. As we've mentioned several times, this is the 6th consecutive year of a sellout, and this is a new track record. Almost 73,000 people.
And Phil, you and I drove in this morning before 11 o'clock, and these people were already getting to the racetrack, been here all day long out in the heat, but they've been having a good time. We've seen a lot of people getting here early and often for this race. A great crowd on hand tonight.
There are some of the motorhome spots on the outside of the backstretch. What a great viewing area there. I know the first time I came here, I rode around this racetrack outside to see it. There's not a bad seat in this house, and if you have a motorhome, what a great spot to be right on the backstretch.
And this is always a great race. We've already seen 4 wide racing, these guys racing side by side in the corners. The grooves moving out the more we race. It's always a great race.
We've seen passes for the lead on the outside, so this is going to be a very, very exciting race here. Greg Biffle will lead us down for the restart.
Clint Boyer up to second on this restart. Started 21st, so he's made his way up to second on this restart. Be interesting to see. And Kevin Grove up in third right now. Good run for him so far tonight.
We're riding with Clint Boyer right now, the AC Delco Chevrolet. He's going to watch when Greg Biffle goes. He's going to go. Good job by Clint Boyer staying right with Greg Biffle.
See some guys at 21, got a great restart there. He's up on the outside.
Seems like that's the theme when we have a restart here. Some guys are going to make up some ground on the outside. There's Kevin Harvick, the 21 Coast Guard Chevrolet on the outside. Passing by the 1 Miccosukee Indian Gaming Resort Dodge of Mike Wallace. Clint Boyer able to stay right with Greg Biffle.
Busch is working his way back up. We saw earlier he made a pit stop. He's in a little bit different sequence than these guys. He just pitted when these guys stayed out. And now he's into the 3rd position just past Kevin Grubb.
Harvick went from 10th to 7th on that lap. There's Denny Hamlin trying to make his way around the 56 car of Kevin Grubb. That's a battle for the 4th position. Then he moves to the inside. Kevin's going to battle back on the outside.
Still a great run for Kevin Grubb, as we talked about early tonight, Phil. Over 2 years since he's been in the car. First race back last week, up in the top 5, holding his own on the outside of Denny Hamlin.
Mark Reed Sorensen's had a pretty tough night. How have you caught up with him?
Reed Sorensen has had a pretty tough night. He just came out of the infield care center. Obviously, you're okay, but man, talk about this night. It started out with such great promise. The car's up front, and then one problem after another.
Yeah, we didn't start out too good there. Had a really good car at the start of the race, and thought we had a good shot to win the race tonight, and we lost 3rd gear. And then just right there in the wreck, I don't even know what happened. I barely got out of the straightaway into the turn and just took off. And it's a bad way to end it with such a good car, but that's just the way it's been going this year for us.
It certainly has, Phil, coming into this race. 17th in the points. in a year that they thought they would be challenging for the championship. And of course, he's so far down in the points, that's why they're going to put David Stremme in his race car next week. No sense in having him fly back and forth from Sonoma to Milwaukee when he really doesn't have a chance to take the title.
Mark, you're right. It has been a tough year. That's Reed's 4th DNF this year. He only had 5 in all 35 races last year. So tough start for 2006 for Reed Sorensen. Good battle there. There's J.J. Yaley, the 18 car on the inside. That's Kevin Grubb hanging tough on the outside. They're battling for the 6th spot. J.J. was trying to take it away. Kevin said, not going to happen.
Those guys have fresher tires as well, so that makes it a little bit harder for him, and he is hanging tough on that outside groove.
There's our leader right there. We're going to look back to Clint Boyer. Up to 3rd, Kyle Busch. There's Denny Hamlin right there at the bottom of your screen. Good battle right there. There's Steve Wallace, the 64, the 1 of Mike Wallace, his uncle, and the 11 of Paul Menard.
There you see the 84 of David Gilliland and the 11 of Paul Menard. Still nose to tail a little bit further back in the running order, but 84 has been glued to the back of the 11 pretty much all night and still holding their own.
J.J. Yaley able to make the pass on the 56 of Kevin Grubb. Kevin Grubb, that takes over the 6th position.
I tell you, J.J. Yaley's got a fast race car. If he can ever get back up there in the front and get up there, you know, up there with those guys, he's going to be hard to handle. It's best I've seen him run consistently one of these races, you know, in a long time.
See David Gilliland there trying to make up for their pit road, their pit stop, and he's right behind Paul Menard.
Paul's in the 11th spot. There's David Gilliland right there in the 12th position.
After that long pit stop here, you know, he came out in the 20th position, so he's moved his way back up, you know, to the 12th position. He's got a really fast race car, but we're seeing how difficult it is to pass.
He had a great run through the center of the corner right there, but once he got to the exit of the corner, was not able to make anything happen. Denny Hamlin fighting with Kevin Harvick. Kevin's trying to take over the 4th spot. He's already worked his way into the top 5 and 5th, trying to take over 4th from Denny Hamlin in the Rockwell Automation Chevrolet.
That's one guy who knows about adversity. Last week at Pocono in the Cup race, he cut a tire down and came back and won the race. Harvick's had some adversity tonight, and he's not letting it hold him back at all.
Well, it sure looks like he's successfully overcome that first lap incident where he spun coming off turn number 4. There's David Gilliland, the 84 car, trying to make his way around Paul Menard. Paul drives it right down to the racetrack, squeezes him down. David's going to hang tough on the inside as they lap around. It looks like the 28 car of Shane Hall.
Looks like David's just a little bit tight behind the 11 car there and just struggling just a little bit to get around him. Probably if he could get in front of him, he could go on or get away from him, but it's just hard enough for him to pass him that he just can't get it done.
We caught a glimpse of the 64 of Steve Wallace taking over the 8th position from the 77 of Bernie Lamar. The 1 of Mike Wallace follows Bernie. There's the 11 of Paul Menard. David Gilliland right behind the 11 of Paul Menard. There's the battle for 4th continues. Denny Hamlin, the 20 car, in front of Kevin Harvick, the 21. Kevin gets a good run through the center of the corner, not quite able to pull up beside him. To see he's going to be able to do it this time. He's going to be side by side at the start-finish line.
Harvick's car looks really good right now. I mean, he can go any way he wants on the racetrack. We saw him a couple of laps ago make a pass on the outside of the racetrack. Right there with Denny Hamlin, he goes in, works the bottom of the racetrack. Denny slides up, gets that nose out that clean airfield, and is able to get beside of him coming to the line, and nothing Denny Hamlin could do.
Great battle right here. That's Mike Wallace, the 1 car on the outside, the 11 of Paul Menard. That's the battle for a top 10 spot. There's David Gilliland right there, going to try to make his way around there. How's it going for Paul Menard, Mark?
Well, it's going good right now, Phil, for one of his favorite race cars. They ran this thing at Atlanta. They ran 9th, 7th at Texas. Had a bad night at Charlotte. They got involved in 3 wrecks. And according to their crew chief, Dan Stillman, they then had to put 2 front fenders, a nose, and a hood on this race car. But Paul really wanted to bring it here to the Kentucky Speedway because as well as it ran on those 3 intermediate tracks, Atlanta, Texas, and Charlotte, he thought for sure it would be the car that could take it to victory lane here tonight. And as we have seen, it's been running awfully strong.
John Andretti, the number 10, RV.com. Ford joins this battle right here. Good run for John Andretti. He's had 1 top 10 finish earlier this year at Bristol. Looking to improve on that. Lap 81 of 200 right now. There's our leader, Greg Biffle, who's out to a little bit over a 1-second lead over the 2 of Clint Boyer. We'll be back for more racing action from Kentucky. a possibility of rain in this pit?
Yeah, Phil, it's getting awfully windy down here, and a big cloud cover has come over, particularly down in turns 1 and 2. It's kind of hard to see it with it dark, but earlier on it was really getting blacker and blacker and blacker. Now the wind is blowing from that direction. Newt Moore is the crew chief for Greg Biffle. They say that they have to pit on lap 100, which is exactly halfway in this race. Newt keeps looking skyward, and he thinks that it's going to rain, so he's going to stay out. Here's Mark Garrow.
Thanks, Glenn. I'm down here in the 5 pits, the low Chevrolet for Kyle Busch. He's about 1.7 seconds in back of the leader, Greg Biffle. His crew chief, Chad Walters, told him, look, we may have some weather problems coming. Get this thing to the front. Do it now. Keep pleading for KB. KB, take this thing to the front. They think they may have some rain coming.
Well, he's done it now. He's done a little bit of different pit strategy than our front two right now. We'll get a report that the last time our leader Greg Biffle and second place Clint Boyer pitted us, Kyle Busch makes his way around Clint Boyer. Whoa!
He must have listed that he's standing on the gas right now.
Kind of forced Clint Boyer up out of the groove. You see him way high right there coming off turn number 4. But Kyle Busch pitted after our leader Greg Biffle, and the 2 car of Clint Boyer, they're within about, as we heard Glenn tell us, about 10 laps of having to pit. So Kyle Busch has pitted a little bit later than them, so he's in a pretty good position, especially if the rain comes out. Right now running second.
I know Kyle Busch was listening to his crew chief and taking his orders to heart, but I bet you Clint Boyer is not too happy with him right this minute. If he gets back up there to him, he might show his displeasure to him there, but Kyle Busch is mighty strong right now.
Kyle made it 3 wide to put a lap car, looked like Chris Cook, in the middle. And they got down in turn number 3. He had a bad angle entering the corner, and he had to use the 2 car of Clint Boyer to make it through that corner.
8 tires handle better than 4 is what I've always heard. He does have newer tires on, Kyle Busch does, so obviously he's able to run a little bit faster times right now.
Yeah, he pitted on lap 50, so he has about 25 laps, less laps on his tires than does Greg Biffle and Clint Boyer.
And this is a harder tire than what we have run in the past, but at the end of a run, you still want the newest tires you can possibly get. They still make a difference, and a big difference.
Yeah, right now Kyle Busch was the fastest car on the racetrack as we see that terrific battle. Mike Wallace, Brenier Lamar has been in the middle of that battle. Here comes David Green. He has joined that battle. There's Danny O'Quinn in the 50 Stonebridge Life Insurance Ford out of the Roush stable.
Looks like he's having some trouble right there. He was in front of those guys, and he slid up the racetrack, and they got behind.
As you can see there at the bottom of your screen, this race has to go halfway to be considered an official race. If they run 101 laps, and they will consider this an official race, even if it rains and they are not able to restart this race. So that's what these guys are thinking about. They're trying to get to lap 100. Greg Biffle's trying to do it, trying to stretch his field to get there. Kyle Busch is trying to get there as the leader.
The only bad thing with that is when you get to lap 101 and you're dry on fuel and there's no rain, what do you do then?
Then you pit. Good battle right there. There's David Rudem in the 99 Aaron's Dream Machine. He ran the truck race earlier today at Michigan. Flew over here for this race. That's Stephen Light, the 90 City Financial Ford out of the Robert Yates stable. David Rudem going to be able to drive by on the inside. He got a good run through the center of the corner. Going to use the whole racetrack up there, pull up in front of Stephen Light, and take over that spot.
Okay, Stephen Light's had a pretty solid run. That move right there dropped him back to 18th, but a young guy, just trying to get his feet wet, get some experience. He's been out there, battling along, keeping his nose clean, and he's still up in the top 20. A good night so far for Robert Yates Racing and their Busch Series team. Mark, you got more on the 90 car?
Stephen Light, when he's qualified his car, Hermie, really loose. He had his hands full, barely could hold on to it. You saw that because he qualified way down the running order. However, as this race went on, the car's gotten tighter and tighter and tighter. He's now telling his crew he likes the feel of the race car. A few more adjustments, some slight adjustments. He thinks he's going to be in the ballpark, perhaps for at least the top 10.
Phil, I talked to those guys when they got here. That's a brand new race car for Stephen Light tonight. No testing, no time on the track. First lap on the racetrack was yesterday during practice. So all things considered, a good night so far for that race team.
We talk about how these cars are going to be loose qualifying because they're going to get tighter as the race went on. We heard Mark tell us he was loose qualifying, and now here he is in the race getting tight. As the racetrack cools off, these cars have a tendency to get a little bit tighter.
And they'll just keep adjusting through the night. I'm sure he's just wanting to make it to the next pit stop. They can change some wedge, some air pressure, do some track bar, whatever they need to do to get him more comfortable out there where he can run a little bit faster.
a lot of the stories told about, we saw Greg Biffle in qualifying early today, sliding all the way out of the groove on his second lap and starting way back in the field in the 30, and right now leading this race. So that's how much the car and the tracks have changed between qualifying this afternoon and the race tonight.
There's our battle for ninth right there. David Gilliland has managed to move his way back up into the top 10. Kevin Grubb hanging tough there. Good run for him. His second race back in 2.5 years. You know, we talk a lot about the Nextel Cup drivers doing double duty. Well, there's 8 of them in this field. The first 6 positions are all Nextel Cup regulars. And then we've got the 38th and 39th spots, Carl Edwards and Reed Sorensen, who did not have that great a day.
See Harvick there taking a look at J.J. Yaley. Slipped a little bit getting in the corner, kind of gave him a little bit of slack, but Harvick's got a very fast race car. Both those guys have fast race cars, but it looks like the 21 has caught Yaley and working on him right now.
Harvick is really good from the center of the corner off. He doesn't get in the corner, or doesn't try to get in the corner as hard as Yaley in the 18. That is Kevin Harvick in the 21, the Coast Guard car. But you'll see from the middle lap, he's really, really good. And Kyle Busch has caught our leader field.
Yeah, he was about a second and 2/10 of a second behind about 4 or 5 laps ago, and he has absolutely run him down. Greg Biffle is just within a handful of laps of having to make a green flag pit stop. Boy, would he love to see a caution flag come out right now.
And as you mentioned a little while ago, his tires are a little bit, like 25 laps newer than those of Greg Biffle, so that's making a difference as well, Hank.
Yeah. Well, I guess he listened to his crew chief. He ran him down from a long ways back, and now he's looking to the inside to take the lead. Looks like going down into turn 1. I believe he'll be able to do it, guys.
Kyle Busch takes over the lead. We will get the cross flags next time by. This race will be halfway as Kyle Busch, Greg Biffle hangs tough on the outside. Kyle Busch goes ahead and pulls in front. He brings the low Chevrolet. We're hearing that Greg Biffle was going to make his pit stop. You see him slowing right down right now, making his way to pit road. Green flag pit stop for Greg Biffle. Glenn, he's coming to you.
Yeah, Phil, once Kyle Busch caught him on the racetrack, he really just kind of pulled up and let Kyle go, knowing that he had to pit this time by. He has actually run a lap further than they thought they could. This will be lap 101 when they complete it. They're going to make a slight air pressure adjustment. I saw the guys working on the car a while ago. As I reported earlier, Greg been reporting that the car has just been all over the place, but they have continued to work on it, put a spring rubber in the left rear, and have gotten the car much more to Greg's liking. However, he is having to give up the lead for a green flag stop. First one of the night. It will be a 4-tire change. The air pressure adjustments have already been made. So this is scheduled. It's just that they're off schedule with everybody else. Will be coming in about 20 laps.
Yeah, Clint Boyer is also on pit road at the same time. You see him just leaving his pit. There's Greg Biffle, bottom of your screen, leaving his pit. Tough break for these guys having to pit under green like this.
Well, what they need is this thing to stay green and let it cycle around and make everybody else have green flag stops. The last thing they need is a caution, and then they'll be, if they do, they'll be called a lap down. So what we need, or what they need, is for this thing to stay green.
Another thing we need to keep our eye on, field, if it does end up being green flag pit stops, we saw the 84 car on pit road under green. If they had that under caution, excuse me, if they had that same kind of pit stop under green, it'll be really detrimental to them, put them way behind.
Kevin Grubb gave up his top 10 position, also made a green flag pit stop. We'll be back and see if Kyle Busch can stay on the racetrack without having to make a green flag pit stop right after this. Look at our Aqua Velva out of the blue moment. We got a report that Kyle Busch's crew chief Chad Walter said it's time to go, and go he went inside of a 3-wide pass. Watch him when he gets to turn number 3 here. He's going to use the 2 of Clint Boyer to hold that car down. And here's his pass for the lead right on lap number 100. That's a pass of Greg Biffle in the 66 car. That is your Aqua Velva out of the blue moment. Aqua Velva keeps your face toned and fit. You know what women say, it just feels better with an Aqua Velva.
Is that what they say?
That's what they say.
That's what they say.
Here we take a look at the drivers that are doing double duty. Right here you see Kyle Busch, our leader. The 21 of Kevin Harvick has moved up to the 2nd position. Denny Hamlin 3rd, J.J. Yaley 4th. Greg Biffle and Clint Boyer gave up 1st and 3rd, actually 2nd and 3rd, to make green flag pit stops a few moments ago, and they now find themselves a lap down in 28th and 29th.
Teammates battling there, Denny Hamlin and J.J. Yaley.
J.J. just able to get by Denny Hamlin for the 3rd position just a lap ago. See the damage on the right front corner of his car from an earlier altercation. Hasn't seemed to slow it down any. There's Augie Vidovich, the 4. J.J. Yaley going to try to move by him. See J.J. Yaley's serial there. He's currently running third. He got up to second, and he was down as far as 39th, Glenn.
He's had a great car, Phil, and right now they're on schedule to pit in exactly 10 laps on lap 121. They pitted about 20 laps later than what Greg Biffle and Clint Boyer did. So his next pit stop is 121. The car is still just a little bit tight, not real bad, but a little tight, probably because of that damage. So his crew chief, Jason Ratcliffe, told me they were going to make a very slight air pressure adjustment. But so far, things are going really well for JJ.
There's a good battle for the 6th position. There's Steve Wallace, 64 car.
David Gilliland seems to just keep working his way back on up there. After that pit stop, he's got a very fast race car. He's been able, as the tires have worn down and the cars are starting to skate around, he's been able to pass a lot of these guys. And he's sitting right now in the 7th position, working on 6th with Stephen Wallace.
He's been impressive all night long, Phil. I mean, we saw him go to the back. We fought on it once before, went all the way back to 20th position. Now making a pass on Stephen Wallace back up to the 6th position, mostly under green, passing these cars under green. We saw him a few laps ago in a group of cars for 10th, 11th, and 12th. He's driven past all these guys all the way up to 6th position.
Mark, David Gilliland's having a heck of a run here, a career run for him.
He sure is, and it couldn't happen to a nicer guy. Just behind him, Stephen Wallace in that 64 car. He just radioed his father. He said, look, man, the car's a little tight center off. And he goes, I assure you, I am driving the heck out of this thing right now. And they plan on pitting in about 10 laps.
It is a great run by Steve Wallace. You know, he qualified third for his first Busch Series start this year at Bristol. What a terrific job he did there. But he won a ARCA race here a few weeks ago at Kentucky Speedway. He told us earlier, talked earlier about how much testing he's done. He started testing here at 16 years old. His dad, Rusty, had him in a car here at 16 years old.
But he's doing a great job, and it's so important. He's a very energetic young man to keep him under control right now with these tires being worn, that he doesn't overdrive the car. They'll be able to come in, they said, in 10 laps, make some adjustments. But right now, just not tearing up your equipment is so important, and he's doing a great job.
Same thing for the 64 of Steve Wallace and the 84 of David Gilliland. Both of them have great runs, are in line very much for top 10 finishes. But the biggest thing to get out of this race tonight is running 300 miles and getting good experience, as we see guys starting to make green flag pit stops, including David Green.
Yeah, David Green had a top 10 run going. He's on pit road in the Meijer Ford. We've got John Andretti, the Freedom Roads RV Ford, on pit road. Regan Smith, the 35 McDonald's Ford, is not pit road. There's Carl Edwards. Oh, trouble. There's Bernie Lamar. Stephen Light did a great job of getting by on the outside. This is not what Greg Biffle and Clint Boyer wanted to see.
Or any of those guys on pit road like David Green. It doesn't look like the 77 made any contact with the outside wall. He spun around 3 or 4 times there on the back stretch.
Yeah, what a horrible break for Regan Smith. He comes down pit road 1 lap. John Andretti, same thing for him. 1 lap later, the caution flag comes out. There's the Dollar General Chevrolet right there of Bernie Lamar. We had a number of cars that had not pitted yet because they pitted after a lot of the guys. Let's see if we can take another look at what happened. We're going to take a look from Clint Boyer's onboard camera. There's Bernie Lamar, the 77 car on the outside. Let's see if Clint comes up here and makes a little bit of contact. He looked like Bernie Lamar may have had to get off the throttle a little bit. You know, that's a situation where Clint Boyer was very, very close. He didn't just run up there and hit him. It looked like Bernie Lamar had to get out of the throttle, and when he did, Clint Boyer made some slight contact.
Sometimes when coming off that turn, too, it's hard to say whether or not Clint Boyer got up too close to him and got him loose and he had to lift off the gas, or sometimes in that situation, your car will be tight. You push it. Either way, the 77 car definitely got out of the gas at that spot right there, and Clint Boyer got in the back of him. Great job again by Stephen Light sliding by on the outside, not panicking and getting by on the outside.
He didn't lock the brakes up and slide his car. He just tried to drive by, tried to slow down on the outside. It was able to get by Bernie Lamar without any contact.
Bernie was very fortunate not to get into the wall there as well.
Mark, we've got our leader, Kyle Busch. He's coming towards you.
He's going to make a pit stop. He has said to them it is a tick tight in the center of the corner, but do not make any changes to the race car. So they're going to keep the air pressures the same in this car. So what they want right now is a trouble-free pit stop. They want to put 4 skins on this thing, fill it up again with Sunoco fuel. He went a little bit past his spot. The crew then chased that car down. So they're just looking for a good, solid stop right now. No changes. Again, Kyle Busch very happy with his race car. Let's go to Glenn Sheridan.
And Mark, I'm waiting on J.J. Yeley to bring his number 18, the Figaro Chevrolet, down here. Here he comes right now. Pulling into the stop, this will be a 4-tire change as well. As I said, they made an air pressure adjustment, very slight, and they're making a very slight chassis adjustment. Looks like 1 round, 2 rounds in the right rear, so a little bit more, a little tighter than what they thought. They're around the left side now, putting left side tires on, and he is down and away. Pretty good stop. He's going to come out second on the racetrack.
We saw Kevin Harvick in the middle of our triple pits. Looks like he's going to come out of the pits in fourth. Denny Hamlin was able to beat Kevin Harvick off of pit road. Kevin Harvick, the 21 Coast Guard Chevrolet, is our leader, and we'll be back for the restart right after this. This is our leader.
Great job by those guys. Kevin Harvick lost 2 spots from second back to fourth. J.J. Yaley's pit crew held serve, third and third. Denny Hamlin picked up 2 spots. Big winner on that road of pit stops. And Paul Menard came in fifth, went out fifth.
There's Johnny Sauter. He is our Aaron's lucky dog. He will get back on the lead lap. We will have 13 cars on the lead lap, including Greg Biffle, who is actually on the tail end of the lead lap right in front of the field. He has the option of staying up there because he is technically on the lead lap. He's on the tail end. He did not pit on this caution flag. Obviously, we saw him pit back on lap number 101. So what Greg Biffle wants to do right now is to try to stay out in front of our leader, Kyle Busch, catch a caution flag, be able to come all the way back around and get back on the lead lap with track position.
Right, he didn't need this caution, but now he needs another one so he can get back in line and be on the lead lap behind those guys instead of right in front of the leader.
Green flag.
That's the Cub Cadet Ford of Greg Biffle on the outside, right in front of our leader, Kyle Busch, in the low Chevrolet number 5.
He got a great restart there.
There's only 13 cars on the lead lap, so this double 5 restart looks a lot like the start of the race. A lot of traffic, a lot of guys trying to get in position for the lucky dog. In Greg's case, he's trying to get up front and do it the old-fashioned way, and Boris said is next in line for the lucky dog, hoping that Greg can stay up there.
This is not where Clint Boyer wants to be. He's being shown in the 32nd position, 1 lap down. As you can see, there are an awful lot of cars in front of him. He needs to get up there to try to be able to be in position to get that lucky dog. Right now, he's got almost a dozen cars in front of him for the something happened to J.J. Yaley there. Did he get loose there going in the corner?
He just got loose, got on the inside of that car there and just got loose and had to chase the car up the track. Where he didn't hit the other car, he had to get out of the gas pretty quick, but he should be back up the full song right here.
Paul Menard, the 11 car, trying to make his way by. Kevin Harvick, the Coast Guard Chevrolet, was able to get by. And there's Boris Said, the 9 car. We haven't talked a whole lot about Boris this race. He's running a pretty decent race. He's being shown in the 14th spot right now, 1 lap down. 3-4 wide going in the corner.
Yeah, that won't work. That won't work there. You see the 77 car way up out of the groove, losing a lot of valuable time.
There's Clint Boyer trying to make his way by a couple cars. That's the McDonald's Ford of Regan Smith on the outside. There's Kevin Grubb, the 56 Chevrolet on the outside. There's the 33 of Aaron Fike. There's Carl Edwards racing with the 5 of Kyle Busch. Remember, Carl's being shown 27 laps behind. He just wants to show everyone he has a good car right now.
Right. And Greg Biffle has stayed out front there, so if the caution does come out, he'll get the cycle back around.
Boris Said is another one of the drivers that would love to see the caution come out because he would be in line for the lucky dog. There's Paul Menard. Paul Menard just drove by Kevin Harvick.
He's got a fast race car. He had a fast race car last week. Looks like they may have made some adjustments because he's faster right now than he was on the last restart that we had.
We're getting a report that NASCAR is still evaluating, the hospital staff is still evaluating Jeff Fuller. The most serious problem seems to be smoke inhalation. We saw that car caught on fire when he made contact with the inside wall, but Jeff Fuller, good to know that he's awake and alert, certainly.
Yeah, never a good thing to inhale a lot of smoke. He did sit there for a while in the car, briefly caught on fire, a lot of smoke, inside that car, but to take that kind of impact and be smoke inhalation be the #1 concern right now is good news for everybody.
There's Clint Boyer trying to make his way around the 88 of Mark McFarland, the Navy Chevrolet. Clint has been picking him up and putting him down. He's trying to get up there to be in position for the lucky dog. There's the 84 right in front of him. That's David Gillen. He's in the 11th position right now. Remember, he had worked his way up to the 6th spot before that caution flag.
And this is where patience really pays off. He's being real patient with these guys, kind of picking and choosing his passes, doesn't want to rush anything. Still got time left. These guys obviously will need a caution to get back on the lead lap, but plenty of time.
It's a battle for third right there left of your screen. J.J. Yaley, the 18 car. Paul Menard, the 11 car. There's Clint Boyer trying to make his way around the 90 of Stephen Light. Just got by the 84 of David Gilliland. Kyle Busch is about 1 second ahead of our second place car, Denny Hamlin. That's the battle for third left of your screen. J.J. Yaley, the 18, Paul Menard, the 11 and fourth, and right behind him is the 21 of Kevin Harvick.
Paul Menard and J.J. Yaley both, you can see there on the left side of your screen, are turning lap times as fast as the leader just about every lap.
There's Clint Boyer making his way around the 36 car of Tim Sauter. That is a battle for position right there. He's able to get by Tim Sauter, move up into the 17th position. Now he's got 3 cars ahead of him that are 1 lap down. He's got his sight set on the 06 of Todd Cleaver next. That 90 car right there of Stephen Light, you see on the inside of that battle with Tim Sauter, is still on the lead lap. He's being shown in the 10th position. The 84 of David Gilliland right behind him, that's the 11th spot.
Great run for both those teams. Stephen Light been solid all night, slowly making his way to the front. He commented about his car being really loose in qualifying. David Gilliland, same thing. He's getting ready to make this thing 3 wide, coming off turn 4. It should be exciting getting back to the start-finish line. These guys both running heck of a race so far. Both of these guys will be a big feather in their cap to get a top 10 finish at a race like Kentucky with the kind of field we've got here tonight with all these Nextel Cup regulars in here.
We talked about how big it was last week for Danny O'Quinn to get his first career top 10 at Nashville. We've got the same cast of characters here. You've got 8 Nextel Cup regulars running in this race. And Stephen Light and David Gilliland are knocking on the door of a top 10 finish.
Both doing a great job. And David's had a fast car all night. You see him, he's checked out from those guys working on the next position.
That's the 36 of Tim Sauter. He's being shown right now in the 18th position, 1 lap down. There's the 56 of Kevin Grove. Remember, he made a green flag pit stop right before the caution came out. He had a good running. There's Dave, good run going. There's J.J. Yaley moving around the 27 car of David Green. David's being shown 2 laps down right now. And there's our 4th place car, Paul Menard in the Menard Chevrolet.
We saw David on pit road when the caution came out, actually, and that's where David lost both of his laps.
Feels slowly but surely Denny Hamlin is starting to make up a little bit of ground on Kyle Busch.
Just a few moments ago, Hermie was over a second behind. Now he has cut that deficit to under 1/2 a second. So Denny Hamlin is on the move. Let's keep up with the guys that are doing the double duty. There's Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, J.J. Yaley first through third. Kevin Harvick back in the 5th spot, right behind Paul Menard, and then Greg Biffle, who's on the tail end of the lead lap in 13th. Clint Boyer trying to get in position to get that lucky dog. Carl Edwards still soldiering on after transmission problems, and Reed Sorensen out of the race.
It says a lot about Joe Gibbs racing these 2 Busch Series teams. 2 young drivers like J.J. Yaley, Denny Hamlin. Pretty good indication that they're sharing a lot of information. Caution on the racetrack.
Good break for Greg Biffle. Glenn, what's going on?
Guys, there's a piece of debris laying just right up outside of the groove, just as the tri-oval ends here, straight across from J.J. Yaley's pit area. And they've been, Greg Biffle's crew, which is right next to it, been hollering for the last 5 or 6 laps to NASCAR. Finally, they saw it in the tower through the caution. That's exactly what Greg Biffle needed.
Boy, Glenn, you're exactly right. Of course, when you're in a situation like Greg Biffle, when you're on the tail end of the lead lap wanting a caution, they would be talking about it raining and cats and dogs all over the racetrack. Just total anarchy.
A couple of points here. Greg Biffle did get his lap back the old-fashioned way. Moore said looks like he's probably going to be the one that's in line for the lucky dog. Clint Boyer missed it by 2 cars. He worked his way up, was very aggressive, getting back through that traffic. Will not get the lucky dog this time. He'll need to get himself in position next time.
See that right after Paul Menard went by, we saw the debris. We don't know if it came off of Paul Menard's car, but that's when we first saw the debris. This is our 8th caution flag. Our record here is 10. We've got 66 laps to go, and hopefully we won't get that record. But
that's a record we don't want to break.
Clint Boyer would like to see us get another caution flag. He would like to use this opportunity to maybe to get up and close up on the field, get in position possibly to get the lucky dog next caution flag.
This is a great caution for Greg Biffle for a couple of reasons. One, these other guys got to pick because they can't go the rest of the way, so this is going to put Greg Biffle right back in the thick of things.
Mark, it's going to put Kurt Busch in his pit window, isn't it?
Kyle Busch certainly now can make it the rest of the way. They'll make a slight air pressure adjustment on this race car. During that run, he said it was getting a little loose in the center of the corner after they had been talking about it being a little bit tight. So again, they'll make a slight adjustment, more tires and fuel, and he will be able to make it the rest of the way. Let's go to Glenn Jarrett.
Down at this end, Mark, J.J. Yaley and his counterpart, Denny Hamlin, have also come in. Just gas and go for Yaley. He's away. The 20 car has still been reporting tight. They're making a 4-tire change and a chassis adjustment on Denny Hamlin. So he is he's still been fighting tight all night since sitting on the pole. Greg Biffle has just now come in. They're making a very slight chassis adjustment in the right rear. So 4 tires. This was the Greg Biffle was looking for. 4 tires and a chassis adjustment for Greg Biffle as well. So he got what he wanted. Let's see if he can get back to the front.
You know, Glenn, you talked about J.J. Yaley doing a gas only. Well, when he left pit road, the red light was still on. As you can see right there, you saw the green light. The red light was still on. J.J. Yaley passed that. He actually passed Kevin Harvick. Kevin stopped on pit road to wait for that light to turn green. J.J. Yaley passed through the red light, and that's probably going to necessitate a penalty. Let's see if we can take a look. You see the red light right there, right by Denny Hamlin's car. You see J.J. Yaley in the green car leaving pit road. You see the red light still flashing as J.J. Yaley drives out of his pit. You see Kevin Harvick. He caught a glimpse of the red light. He stopped right there. J.J. kept on going, and J.J. will probably get a penalty.
Good job by Kevin Harvick.
See NASCAR right there talking to JJ's crew about what they're going to do. There's our green light. We'll be back with Green Flag Racing right after this.
Thursday on FX.
The Kentucky Speedway, we're being told by NASCAR that J.J. Yaley complained that the light was right in front of the 20 of Denny Hamlin. Here's right here. They did a little gas and go there, wiped off the grill. You're going to see him. Watch top left of your screen. You're going to see the red light there, but his view would have been obstructed by the 20 of Denny Hamlin. NASCAR believed it, and he really didn't gain anything because he only gassed and goed, so he really did not pass anybody doing that. NASCAR let him stay on the racetrack, and he's in the lead as they restart the Meijer 300.
They're 4 wide again going down into turn 1, guys.
And that's a good call by NASCAR, too. A lot of things going on right there. They took the time to look at it and make a good decision not to penalize Yaley for something that he was really out of his control and he didn't gain anything from it.
Be interesting to see how well he does with no tires and fuel only. Harvick's tires right behind him.
Interesting pit strategy by Jason Radcliffe, J.J. Yaley, the entire Joe Gibbs team. There's his teammate right there, Denny Hamlin, the Rockwell Automation Chevrolet on the inside, Kenny Wallace, the 22 on the outside.
A lot of it, Phil, probably has to do with the thing we say a lot of these race broadcasts, clean air. They want to get that 18 car. You've seen him passing cars all night. They want to put him in a position where he didn't have to pass anybody, get it there and run his line and set his pace. And right now it's working out okay for him. A lot of this traffic back from like 7th, 8th, 9th back. These guys are racing hard on the equipment and hard on the tires.
Kevin Harvick, the 21 cars in the 2nd spot. As we see more 3-wide racing coming off turn number 4. We have some sort of an alarm going off. Nothing to be alarmed about.
I think they're alarmed. They're all 3 wide, 3 rows back out there coming down the front straightaway.
You think some of these drivers are keying that alarm there?
This doesn't look good.
See the blue car, Danny O'Quinn, the 50, making a move on the inside. Side-by-side battle, left of your screen. That's Stacy Compton, the Kingsford Ford on the outside. I think that's the 33 of Aaron Fike on the inside. Meanwhile, J.J. Yaley with fuel only has opened up almost a 1-second lead on Kevin Harvick.
See there, he's checked out. I mean, that is so interesting to see. We saw guys earlier being able to run really fast with no tires or older tires, but Kyle Busch was able to catch him. It'll be interesting to see late in this run if they'll be able to run him back down.
Remember, folks, nothing to worry about. That alarm you may hear in the background is in our broadcast position here. That's something the racetrack has triggered. It's nothing wrong here. They're still continuing to race. And Kevin Harvick is running 2nd right now, Mark.
And that's the good news for him, but he just radioed into his crew that he thought he had a flat tire. The crew, Shane Wilson, his crew chief, told them they kept taking a look at it. The spotter looking at it, and at this point they think he's okay. Of course, again, this is the same car that he won with here in 2001. They nicknamed it Pounder because as a backup it pounded the field into submission and won that race. He's sitting in the second spot right now, losing ground though to J.J. Yeley and not quite sure what he's feeling. Again, he thought he had a flat tire, so obviously things not to the liking of Kevin Harvick right now, but they're not quite sure what the problem is.
Getting back to J.J. Yeley, our race leader right now, we talked about him coming in for pit road for gas only, no tires. Only 3 laps ago, lap 140, ran his fastest lap of the race on those old tires. Again, out front and clean air makes a difference. More important than tires at this point in the race for him.
Hermie, we have a great side-by-side battle for the 3rd position. That's the 5 of Kyle Busch, the 1 of Mike Wallace. Paul Menard, the 11, trying to look on the inside of Kyle Busch. There's a 99 of David Ruderman. He's got another strong top 10 going. He finished 6th in this very car last week, the Aaron's Dream Machine in Nashville.
Paul Menard's been working on the 5 car right there, and they both caught the 1 car. You see the 5 car slid up out of the groove. Looks like the 11's going to get by.
J.J. Yeley continuing to drive away from this field. There's Denny Hamlin. He joins this battle. Denny's being shown in the 7th position right there. David Rudin was able to get by the 5 of Kyle Busch.
Great run from Mike Wallace, too, up to 3rd spot. Now, we had talked about Mike here all night. Here we go. We've got 55 laps to go, and Mike Wallace is up in 3rd place in James Finch's Miccosukee Dodge.
You know, one of the time very early on, he was black flagged for pulling up to pit on the caution flag. Got the lucky dog right after that, the caution after that. Got back on the lead lap. They've done some great pit strategy, and he's currently being shown in the 3rd spot, right ahead of Paul Menard. Looks like he may have a faster car right now than Kevin Harvick. There you see, that's the battle for 2nd right there. Kevin Harvick, the Coast Guard Chevrolet, number 21, and the white Miccosukee Indian Gaming Resort Dodge of James Finch in 3rd.
Harvick's obviously having some problems. He's been running good all night tonight, but they're over 2 seconds behind the leader, J.J. Yeley, right now.
What a great call by Jason Radcliffe and the entire Joe Gibbs team to put fuel only in that 18 car of J.J. Yeley. Now, we know he's got enough fuel as Mike Wallace tries to make his way to the inside of Kevin Harvick for 2nd.
You can see he really drove down in the corner really hard. Sparks flying off the right side frame rails. That thing was bottoming out. He drove it down in the corner to get around the 21 car.
Paul Menard's going to try to do the same thing. He's going to try to get a run through the center of the corner. He's going to pull up side by side with Kevin Harvick for the 3rd position.
As Hank just mentioned, Kevin Harvick definitely not handling through the center of the corner as he was early in this race. Last set of green flag laps, we saw Kevin Harvick making a lot of passes on the bottom of the racetrack. Now a lot of guys going underneath him in the bottom of the racetrack right here. The critical time of the race, he needs to try to settle in, hold these guys off, and keep in touch with the 1 and the 18.
A little wiggle by Paul Menard in the center of the corner down there in 1 and 2. That'll allow the 5 of Kyle Busch to drive up to the inside. See if he can make the move. Can't quite pull up in front of him right here.
That's an easy thing to do. I mean, when you get on someone's inside, it takes their upper spoil, and you get really loose on their inside. And then when you have to lift, you lose momentum. So that allowed the 5 car to get a good run on him. But Paul's got a very fast race car.
Mark, what's going on with Harvick?
Well, right now, Phil, they've got a real problem. This car is tight going in, and he's talking about it being really tight. And then off the corner, it's really loose. So the decision, perhaps, not to take tires for the 21 team may have backfired.
It sure is working right now for J.J. Yeley, but we see Paul Menard, the number 11, pull up to the inside. Denny Hamlin going to follow the 21 of Kevin Harvick on the outside. Great battle for the 3rd position. Is Denny going to make it 3 wide? And is Kyle going to make it 4 wide? No, Denny Hamlin pulls in beside the 21 of Kevin Harvick. But Kyle Busch makes a pass on the 11 of Paul Menard. They're trying to make the pass on Paul Menard.
Okay, these guys are getting word from the crew. I'm sure 50 laps to go. It's time to start positioning yourself for these last 50 laps to get yourself in contention for the win. So if anybody's going to do anything with J.J. Yeley, they better hurry up. A 2.7-second lead on Mike Wallace.
David Ruderman trying to make a pass there. Someone that spun out early. Having a strong run here at the end of the race.
Paul Menard kind of cut him off there as they started to enter turn number 1. And there's the 84 car of David Gillen. He has joined this battle. He's in the 8th position right now. And there's Clint Boyer right now. He is in position for the lucky dog. If the caution were to come out, he is the top placed car, not on the lead lap. He's being shown in the 15th spot right now. J.J. Yeley continues to lead. He's got about a 2.5-second lead. There he is right there, the Home Depot Figaro Chevrolet. He didn't take any tires. We're going to see how that affects him as we get into the waning moments of this race. We're going to be back and check it all out here at Kentucky Speedway right here on FX. Welcome back to Kentucky Speedway. J.J. Yeley continues to lead while we're away at break. Kevin Harvick has lost several positions, and Kyle Busch made an unscheduled pit stop, Mark.
A tough break for him. They went to the right side, changed both of those tires. The lap before that, he had been complaining about the car getting suddenly very, very tight. Thought there was a tire going down, and so they asked him to come on in instead of certainly risking some sort of maybe bigger problem, a wreck. And tough break for Kyle Busch. He had a chance to win this race. It's now gone by the boards.
There's Kevin Harvick. I'm sorry, Clint Boyer, the 2 car right there, the AC Delta car. There's Greg Biffle. Remember, he got his lap back the old-fashioned way. He earned it.
Running in the 7th position.
Making a major move. He had to restart in the very, very longest line. While we were away, Kevin Harvick has continued to lose positions. He's being shown in the 8th position right now. David Gilliland, the 84 car, while we're away at break, took over the 5th position. He got by David Ruderman and Kevin Harvick, and he just ran the fastest lap of the race at a 30.843. That's only less than 0.2 of a second slower than his fastest. Oh, trouble.
David Green's got
something rubbing
from some contact.
Looks like he has some contact, and maybe a right front fender brake has been off the front of that car and is dragging the racetrack.
NASCAR will take a good close look at that. There's Clint Boyer making his way around Kevin Harvick. Remember, Clint Boyer right now is being shown in the 13th position. He is 1 lap down, but he is the highest placed car 1 lap down. If the caution were to come out right now, he would be in position for the lucky dog. There's Kevin Harvick. He's getting ready to lose another spot by Ashton Lewis. 2nd week in a row, Ashton Lewis has had a good run.
Good for him. They've really turned their season around the last couple of weeks. He's a good guy, and they're doing a good job tonight.
Kevin Harvick desperately needs a caution flag. He needs to get in here and work on that car and make some adjustments and see if he can make that car better for the end of the race. We've only got 38 laps to go.
Talking about Ashton Lewis, he started in 32nd spot today, so great run for them getting up through the pack.
There's J.J. Yeley. We see the damage on the right front hood and fender of that car. He had that from an earlier altercation. It hasn't seemed to slow that car down at all. Gassed only on the last pit stop.
He's got almost a 3-second lead over Mike Wallace in 2nd place.
There's David Gillen right there, the 84 car. He's being shown in the 5th position. That's Paul Menard, the 11th car right in front of him. He caught a glimpse. There's Paul Menard right there, the Menard Chevrolet out of the DEI stable. Really impressive run for David Gillen. He was a high of 2nd. He had some trouble on pit road with his own pit crew. He's fought his way back into the top 5 right now, and he consistently runs very, very, very fast laps, very comparable to what our leader J.J. Yeley's running.
If he's not the fastest car, he's been the 2nd fastest car every lap for the last 6 or 7 laps.
There's Paul Menard. He's currently being shown in the 4th position. He's our leading point getter of the Busch Series regulars, Mark.
Just like he was last week, Phil, at Nashville. He made a comment during that race last week. They came to him over the radio. He said, "How you feel?" He goes, "Look, I'm stalking my prey like a mongoose." And everybody looked up and they thought, what the heck is he talking about? And they thought it was pretty strange. And I asked Paul about that just before he took the green flag tonight. And he goes, "Hey, man, that's a line from the Will Ferrell movie, Talladega Nights, the Ballad of Ricky Bobby, that none of the rest of us have had a chance to see that yet, but he has." And so he's out there quoting the lines from Will Ferrell. And I bet tonight he said more than once, "I'm stalking my prey like a mongoose."
There's a battle for the 6th position. David Ruderman, the 99, and the Aaron's Dream Machine moves over. He realized that the 66 of Greg Biffle is a much faster car. Remember, those 2 cars came together early in the race, and David Ruderman went spinning through the infield, so he certainly didn't want a replay of that.
Yeah, and he saw that 66 was faster, so he pulled over to, instead of wasting time trying to hold him up, he went ahead and moved out of the way, and that way he could fall in right behind him and not waste any time for anybody else that could be behind the 66.
The battle again heating up for the 5th spot. There's the 11 of Paul Menard. That's the 4th spot, 11 of Paul Menard, and the 84 of David Gillen. David's going to be able to move to the inside. Side by side at the start-finish line. Let's see what happens when they get down to turn number 1. David Gilliland on the inside. Paul Menard on the outside.
Got a lap car in the way, but made it 3 wide. That was close, guys.
Good move by David Gilliland. He takes over the 4th position. What a career run for David Gilliland.
Hey, also kudos right there to Paul Menard. He didn't push the issue there. Realized he was on the outside of a 3 wide, backed off a little bit. That shows a little bit about the determination of David Gilliland. Started this race. He's been up and down the 2nd, back to 10th, come back up. Now he's got a chance to get him a good solid top 5.
32 laps to go here at Kentucky Speedway. We'll see what happens when we get back. Take a look at our Just for Men right on target move of the race. Here's the last pit stop. There's J.J. Yaley. Jason Radcliffe made the call. Let's just put fuel only in this car. Clean off the grill a little bit and see if we can beat these guys off pit road. There he goes. You saw the red light for just a moment there. There was NASCAR talked about penalizing him. They did not do that because J.J.'s view was obstructed of the red light. So J.J. Yaley trying to make it 1 for 69, Glenn.
Yeah, there was a couple of reasons that Jason Radcliffe, crew chief for Yaley, decided to do that, guys. Number 1, they just had put those tires that he had on 10 laps ago. Number 2, that right side damage he suffered in that earlier contact with Stephen Wallace, they needed to get him out in clean air. So a gas and go, one way to do that. But the main reason, they didn't have any more new right sides because after that contact with Stephen Wallace, they went and put new right sides on. So sometimes good things happen later when bad things happen earlier.
Great job, Glenn. You know, there's a great battle for second. We talked about David Gilliland, his problems on pit road. Now he's looking to the inside of Mike Wallace for the 2nd position. He's already got by the 20 of Denny Hamlin, our Nextel Cup winner from last week at Pocono. David Gilliland going for 2nd.
Denny Hamlin's going to make him 3 wide there getting into turn 1. But David's not going to let out. He's very determined tonight.
What would it be like if David Gilliland could maybe catch a caution flag or run down J.J. Yaley and win this race? Would it be like a high school pitcher being called up from high school and pitching the 7th game of the World Series or something like that?
It's an unbelievable story, you know, for a lot of reasons. Number 1, not just the experience level of David Gilliland, but you know that team. I mean, it's a startup team from this year, you know, brand new team running a limited schedule. It would be a huge upset and do a lot for a lot of the smaller teams as far as giving people hope as far as running good in these Busch Series races.
Hank, we all know what it feels like to have a car that's so hooked up that it's so much fun to drive. Is that not a special feeling?
That is a very special feeling, and both J.J. Yaley and David Gilliland are feeling that tonight. David's got clean quarter panels and a yellow stripe on the back. It would be awesome to see him get up there and battle with J.J. Yaley for the win.
Remember, David Gilliland's best career finish coming in this race was 29th earlier at Texas. This is his 7th career start in the NASCAR Busch Series.
And Phil, right now he's consistently a couple of tenths, 2 to 2.5 tenths faster than J.J. Yaley. The problem is he's behind by almost 5 seconds, and we've only got 22 laps to go.
Yeah, he continues to run the fastest laps on the racetrack. That time again, he was the fastest at a 30.995. J.J. Yaley was about a 1/10 of a second slower. This time they run about the same thing within 3/100ths of a second. It's going to take some serious traffic for J.J. Yaley or a slip or something like that, I think. But David Gilliland is on the mat. He's already opened up a 2nd lead over the 3rd place car of Mike Wallace.
Or a caution. I mean, a caution could change everything about this race.
I think that's the last thing J.J. Yaley wants to see right now is a caution, because he knows, I'm sure his guys are telling him, this David Gilliland cat is coming.
Plus, J.J. Yaley's got a lot more laps on his tires. He did not get tires last time.
20 laps to go here at Kentucky Speedway. When we come back, we'll be uninterrupted for green flag racing to the finish. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to Kentucky Speedway. As you can see, J.J. Yaley's not running very fast. That means the caution flag is out. And that 5-second lead that he had over David Gilliland is going to go away. Here's why we're under caution. The 43 of Chris Cook. You see him right there in front of the 50 of Danny O'Quinn. Looks like he might have got just a little bit loose when the 50th Danny O'Quinn pulled right up behind him. He does a great job not making any contact. Stays down in the grass off the racetrack. Good job by Chris Cook to get that car straightened back out. But it did bring out the caution flag.
J.J. Yaley did not want to see that, but David Gilliland is saying yes right now.
Yeah, we've been talking about these last 7 or 8, 10 laps since David Gilliland took over the second spot. He's been consistently 2 to 3 tenths a lap faster than the 18. Also, the 18's tires are a little bit older than those of the 84 car, so interesting to see what these guys do. I'm sure the 84 will stay out. Some of the other guys back towards the latter part of the lead lap will probably pit and come in and get new tires.
Yeah, I think Kevin Harvick has no choice but to come in. It looks like maybe the 20 of Denny Hamlin. No, he fakes it. Looks like he was going to come down pit road, but Greg Biffle, the 66, comes down pit road along with the 99 of David Rudiman and several other cars on the lead lap. Ashton Lewis, Steve Wallace, Stephen Light, and Kevin Harvick in the 21 car. Is that Kevin Harvick? Kevin Harvick, that's Kevin Harvick, top of your screen right there, coming down pit road. Kevin was really struggling. He had faded back to the 11th position. Shane Wilson and the guys are going to put 4 tires on this car, I'm sure. There's David Rudiman, already done with his pit work. He was down at the turn 4 end of pit road.
These guys, this will put 13 cars on the lead lap after this caution, and these guys had nothing to lose but to come in, get tires, and go for it.
Greg Biffle getting finished with his pit work. We need to mention that Kyle Busch had gotten by the 2 of Clint Boyer to be in position for the lucky dog. So the 5 car of Kyle Busch will be Aaron's lucky dog, and he'll get back on the lead lap. Mark, you caught up with, I'm sure, a pretty happy crew chief right there.
Well, Billy Wilburn is certainly happy to see this yellow flag. I would believe we had just talked moments before the flag came out how you said, okay, my guy's catching him, but we do not have enough time to get there. Now you're there. Can you beat J.J. Yeley head up?
I think we can beat J.J. head up. I was really worried about the making a pit stop. I mean, we've got a good pit crew, but we're not at the level those guys are yet. But since everybody stayed out, that's kind of a blessing in disguise, really. So heads up, car against car, yeah, I think we can beat him. Get a good restart here. Nobody gets in our way. I think we got a shot.
Now, I heard earlier tonight that you were joking that if David would win this race, you're going to buy him hair.
Yeah, we kind of make fun of him. He's a pretty young guy, and he's a little light in the hair department, so we kind of pick on him a little bit, but he's doing a hell of a job tonight. We're really proud of him.
There's no question David Gilliland is the story tonight here in Kentucky. We'll have more. We'll head to the checkered flag right after this.
About 4 tires. He ran up on the 99 car of David Rudiman coming down pit road. Rudiman had slowed way down, wasn't keeping up with the cars in front of him. Greg swerved out, maintaining the correct speed, went around Rudiman. NASCAR didn't like it. They sent him to the end of the longest line for the restart. Kills any chances he has of Mike winning.
Sure does, Glenn. A horrible break for Greg Biffle. He fought back from a lap down from a green flag pit stop. Fought back up into almost a top 5. He was running 6th when that caution came out, and he's going to restart probably at the tail end of the longest line.
We're going green right here, Phil. One thing, you know, we're 4 laps shy of having a single file restart, but with 14 laps to go, double file restart. Very important for the 84 car of David Gilliland to get in behind the 18 car on this restart.
He's got the lap car of Clint Boyer, the 2. He's going to move up in front of him. Or don't you know that David Gilliland is fit to be tied with the lap car of Clint Boyer. But Clint Boyer, he's running his own race. He's going to try to get back on the lead lap, as you mentioned, the old-fashioned way, by driving past J.J. Yeley.
He does that with relative ease.
That's not something J.J. Yeley wants to have to worry about the 2 car.
I'm not sure he's going to be able to worry about the 2 car. He's got a miracle of that 84 car, David Gilliland. Clint Boyer may be fast enough to drive away from J.J. Yeley, but J.J. Yeley's got all he can handle right now with Riverside, California's David Gilliland.
What Yeley doesn't want is to be behind the 2 car and get tight behind him. If the 2 car can't just check out, he doesn't want to be anywhere around them.
Yeah, I thought maybe Clint Boyer would be able just to drive away from him, but you see J.J.'s only about 4, 5 car lengths back. Good run through the center of the corner for David Gilliland. Good momentum. Denny Hamlin has moved up to the 3rd spot, got by Mike Wallace. There you see, there's their leader right there, J.J. Yeley. There's David Gilliland. There's the 20 of Denny Hamlin, the 1 of Mike Wallace. Paul Menard, the 11 cars in 5th.
Here we go, battle for the lead. 84 car making a pass on the inside to the bottom of J.J. Yeley. Can he pull it off? It looks like he will, right around the bottom of the racetrack. Incredible run for David Gilliland.
David Gilliland has taken over the lead of the Busch race at Kentucky, coming down on 10 laps to go. Look at his crew down there.
He's able to hug the bottom of the racetrack a lot better than Yeley. We got a call caution right here. 4 cars in the wall on the front stretch.
Caution flag is out. It will be a single file restart. We're inside of 10 laps to go. That's our record tying 10th caution. That's Augie Vidovich, the 4 car right there.
Boy, David Gilliland didn't want this caution either. I know it probably in the long run may not be that big of a deal as far as the outcome of the race, but he had just made a pass, had a lot of momentum, was selling in there. Anything can happen on these restarts. I'm sure that his guys wanted to see this race go to the finish.
Hermie, David Gilliland just ran his fastest lap of the race on lap 190 the last time by.
How about that?
For the most important position, too. But one thing you were talking about, now we're within that 10 laps to go, so it'll be a single file restart.
Yeah, we got to also mention that Clint Boyd got back on the lead lap there, so also Regan Smith should be the next guy in line to get the lucky dog. But Clint Boyd went up there and got his lap back, but I'm not sure they do a lucky dog inside of 10 laps.
Remember, inside of 10 laps to go, no lucky dogs. So,
well, that's one reason why Clint Boyd was probably so aggressive on that start. He knew he had to get up there by himself because inside of 10 laps he would not get a lucky dog. Now Clint Boyd is back on the lead lap.
There's David Gilliland, the 84 car. An upset of stunning proportions possibly here. Let's see if we can take a look at what happened. Augie's going to have some contact. It looked like Kyle Busch, the 5 car, made some contact with Augie Vidovich. That's Kenny Wallace's car right there. You're going to see the very top of your screen. You see the smoke. Hard to tell exactly what happened, but from that other angle, it looked like maybe the 5 of Kyle Busch made some contact. Let's see if we can take a look back at maybe the biggest pass of David Gilliland's life right here. J.J. Yaley, they make a little bit of contact. They get a little bit loose. J.J. Yaley on the outside. David Gilliland takes over the lead on the inside. You think that crew on pit road was happy? Watch this.
I think they're very happy. David Gilliland's just able to just drive from the center off the corner with so much speed.
You know, his crew chief, Billy Wimmer, made a good point. You know, head up, car for car. We think we got a chance. Having this at this point in the race when none of these guys are coming back to pit road, you know, we saw earlier a lot of problems on pit road, but right now it's one-on-one car versus car, and David Gilliland has proven to be a faster car for the last part of this race.
You know, we talk about Billy Wilburn and a lot of Nextel Cup experience calling the shots for David Gilliland. There's another guy with some Nextel Cup experience involved with that team, isn't there, Mark?
There certainly is. That, of course, Jerry Nadeau, injured at Richmond a couple of years ago, ending his Nextel Cup career, but he still knows how to drive a race car, knows how to coach David Gilliland. What do you think of your student here tonight?
Doing pretty awesome. He's not a rookie, that's for sure. Kid's got a lot of experience. His team's a brand new startup team back in January, and this is going to be pretty awesome. You know, his first win for the team, and
so you're counting it already.
Oh God, I mean, this is it. He's going for it. I know he's going to do it. He's got it. I mean, the kid's got it. I'm just surprised that nobody ever saw him. I like to say hello to my daughter, Natalie. Hey, Natalie.
Hey, Jerry, are you telling him anything now on the radio, or are you just leaving him alone?
No, actually, he's by himself. I mean, he's got a good spotter. Billy's talking to him, and really, I've just been spending a lot of time with him at the shop. We're doing our simulator racing, and obviously, Denny Hamlin spends a lot of time. He won last week at Pocono, so hopefully we'll get a win.
Jerry Nadeau would certainly be happy about that. He may not be in the seat, but he's doing the next best thing, helping to cheer David Gilliland on to what he hopes will be this young man's first Busch Series checkered flag.
What a happy bunch that's going to be down there, Mark. It sounded like Jerry was already counting this thing. It's going to be his first win, but we certainly don't want to jinx anybody, and we don't believe in that anyway. But David Gilliland, no matter what happens from here on out, we're coming down on 7 laps to go. The flagman will give them 1 to go. We will restart this race with 6 laps to go. We will stay here through the finish to see if we can have possibly one of the biggest upsets in the history of the Busch Series.
I tell you, it's refreshing for everybody, though, to be able to talk about a guy like David Gilliland up front. You know, Mike Wallace, the team is, you know, not running all the races. Paul Menard, Busch Series regular. Ashton Lewis, Busch Series regular. David Ruderman, Busch Series regular, with a team that started in the rear. A lot of good stories. Stephen Light, 9th place right now. Steve Wallace in the top 10. A lot of good stories in this race tonight in Kentucky.
Guys, we've had 15 races so far this year. There's been 75 potential top 5 finishes. Non-Nextel Cup regulars have got 5 top 5 finishes all year long combined. And here we are with possibly David Gilliland winning this race. Mike Wallace with a top 5. Paul Menard with a top 5. What a terrific run here for the Busch guys.
And so many Nextel Cup regulars started in the top 10. So this is just, that just adds to the mountain.
It hadn't been by accident either. We sat here and watched David Gilliland drive by the 20 of Denny Hamlin and drive by the 18 of J.J. Yaley. So it wasn't like some fluke pit strategy or anything like that. I mean, this guy drove by these guys on the way to the front.
And remember, he qualified fourth. So he had a great car for the race. Obviously, he had a good car for qualifying. What a total package they've had so far. They had a little bit of trouble on pit road, but they had a good enough car to overcome it, and he's got the lead, and we'll have 6 laps to go when they get to the line.
We've seen some exciting stuff on his restart, so David Gilliland needs to get out there, get a good solid restart, check out, and get away from these guys, and put no doubt as to what his plans are for these last 6 laps.
Very, very important to get through the gearbox smooth here. Denny Hamlin jumps to the outside of J.J. Yaley. Great start by Denny Hamlin. David Gilliland trying to keep the lead, but 4 wide behind him.
They back down to 2 wide, smart enough getting into the corner. Paul Menard's wanting to get around Mike Wallace bad right there.
Meanwhile, David Gilliland's able to keep the lead over J.J. Yaley. J.J. Yaley's teammate Denny Hamlin right there behind him. Mike Wallace in 4th and Paul Menard in 5th. I think sheer strength for sheer strength. I don't think these guys are going to be able to beat David Gilliland unless, and he should be, just after this restart, he shouldn't have any traffic to deal with. If he just hits his marks, don't make any mistakes, I think he's got this thing. But JJ's staying right with him. Looks at the inside.
JJ's really able to get in the corner, but the 84 is really able to get up off the corner. JJ's giving it all he's got right here at these last few laps.
David opens up about a 3-car length lead on J.J. Yaley. Remember, J.J. took gas only on his last pit stop back on about lap number 134, 135. 4 laps to go. David Gilliland just ran his fastest lap of the race, as did J.J. Yaley, as did Denny Hamlin, as did Mike Wallace. The top 4 all ran their fastest laps of the race that last time by. Go, Mark.
David Gilliland, guys, not only is he a non-Cup driver, but this team gets their engines in-house or builds their engines in-house. They don't go to a Cup team and get their power plants like a lot of these other non-Cup teams do. They build them in-house. Their head engine builder, Steve Allen, he said, make sure you tell him it's Steve Allen of Murphy, North Carolina. There's 2 of us, and I want to get the proper credit if this boy wins the race.
Remember now, guys, J.J. Yaley looking for her first career win in the Busch Series. He's 0 for 68 right now.
He's giving it all he's got. Now, he's able to get in the corner. I know I've already said that once, but his car is really good getting in, but David's car is really good getting up off the corner, and that's where he's making up his time.
2 laps to go for David Gilliland. Career start number 7. JJ's hanging tough there. He's not giving up on this thing. He would love to get up there, battle with David Gilliland, maybe try to get up there, loosen him up a little bit. Last time by, all of the top 3 ran their fastest lap of the race.
Looks like JJ's just gotten a little bit too tight behind him.
Guys, 1 lap to go. White flag for David Gilliland. Just hold that line there, David. He's got about a 3-4 car length lead right there.
A lot of people thought it'd be a long time before we see a Busch Series regular win another Busch Series race, but this is more important than that. A part-time guy with a rookie driver, this is absolutely incredible. Guys like the New York Jets beating the Baltimore Colts in Super Bowl number 3. David has truly beat the Goliath of NASCAR Busch Series racing. David Gilliland wins at Kentucky. You think those guys are in shock or what?
Mark, I'm with the winning crew chief, Billy Wilburn of Clay Andrews Racing. All right, this may be the biggest upset in Busch Series history. What are you guys feeling right now?
I feel great. It's unbelievable. David Gilliland is the best kept secret I've ever met in my life. I don't know if it's an upset. We feel like we're a top caliber team. We're wanting to position ourselves this year to run the full schedule next year. So hopefully this right here will let somebody take notice to this whole group right here, okay? Now, Andrews, Cully Barraclaw, Steve Allen, all these guys, Hype Manufacturing, it's awesome, ain't it?
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Bill?
Mark, the first Busch Series regular, even semi-regular. David Gilliland doesn't even run all the races, but the first guy that's not a Nextel Cup regular to win in 2006.
He's doing some pretty good burnouts for a rookie, I know that.
Well, he had some experience doing that last year in the West Series. He won some races out there, but nothing will match this day for David Gilliland.
It's a great story. I mean, we keep talking about it, but I mean, I'm sitting there kind of in shock, too. We talk about all these other guys, you know, the Biffles, the Harviards, the Boyers, all these guys, and to have a guy, David Gilliland, come basically, and I know they're a good team. I mean, there's no question about that. They've had some good, solid qualifying runs, that kind of thing. But Billy Wilburn is telling you a story. If he really felt like they were coming here tonight and win this race, but a great story for NASCAR, certainly for David Gilliland, and it gives it, you know, lets everybody know this can be done. Something he'll never forget. This night he will never forget.
I tell you, what an incredible job by David Gilliland, that entire team. I'm telling you, just an upset of stunning proportions here. Should be one incredible victory lane. Yeah. We're going to be back to talk to David Gilliland and victory lane. What a terrific job. We'll be back with more from David Gilliland and victory lane at Kentucky.
We're back at the Kentucky Speedway in Victory Lane, where David Gilliland is climbing out of that victorious car. And as you would suspect, this is one happy crew. David, congratulations. You had tears in your eyes, buddy, when I reached in there to congratulate you. What are you feeling right now?
Unbelievable, man. I just got to thank my crew, my car owner, Clay Andrews. You know, we're racing unsponsored. We're building our own motors. We're up against it, you know what I mean? And they've asked me for the last 3 months what do you think about racing with these Cup guys, and I said I love it because it's going to make me better. And tonight it made me better, and we're here. We're in Victory Lane. I can't believe it. It's a dream come true. I've waited my whole life for this. It's been an opportunity of a lifetime trying to run the Busch Series, and we're just hopefully we can keep on going from here.
Talk about your thoughts when you were catching J.J. Yeley at the end of the race, but the time was running out. You weren't going to have enough time. The yellow came out. At that point, do you think, okay, it's mine tonight?
Yeah, I was pretty happy, but I was worried if they were going to pit or not because our car wasn't real good on new tires at the beginning, but at the end of the run, Billy Wilburn and the guys made some adjustments, and it was good right off the bat, and I was able to get around a bunch of guys right up the way and just start picking them off and digging. So, awesome, man. I just can't believe it. I cannot believe it. It's a dream come true.
You're sitting here. This perhaps is the biggest upset in Busch Series racing history. What do you think of that?
Awesome. I'm happy to be a part of it. You know what I mean? Like I said, we're unsponsored, building our own motors, and just an awesome opportunity, man. Clay Andrews and all the guys, you know, we missed Charlotte last race, and we've been running a partial schedule, and it just wasn't right, you know, and we came here and we unloaded, and lap 5 I told the guys perfect, and pretty excited about being able to feel that also, you know, and know when the car's good, and it's kind of a slow process for us. We didn't get started. We moved into our shop January 15th. We got 3 cars that are done right now. We've been behind, you know, and awesome. This is going to speed us up.
You ready to celebrate?
Oh boy, I'm ready.
Let's go over to Glenn Jarrett.
And I'm standing by with J.J. Yeley, who is standing just outside of Victory Lane with a wistful look on his face, but still smiles. Hey, man, you did everything you could do.
Yeah, you know, the bigger Home Depot Chevy was really good, and, you know, I'll say hi to wife and Kristen and Faith back home. Thought it was going to be a good Father's Day, you know, for myself, but, you know, I was really good. You know, I think when he got to second, we could run pretty similar lap times. You know, I could still push the car a little bit harder. On that restart, you know, I just expected Boyer to be a little bit better of a lap-down car. He raced me pretty hard, got me loose, and then I let David get a run on me. I mean, you can't take nothing away from the guy. He did an awesome job, had an excellent race car. I got in behind him. You know, I was overdriving the entry because the only shot I had was trying to get the outside of him because he was protecting the bottom pretty good. So, you know, I wish I could have got, you know, Vigor Home Depot been behind me since the beginning, and, you know, I think they just said it's been 60-something starts since I've ever had a win, and let one get away tonight.
Well, I'm not so sure he really let one get away. Just the cars weren't with him tonight. Very graceful, very nice way to look at it, J.J. Your day is coming, trust me.
Glenn, J.J. tied his career best finish of second. He got that at Memphis last year. There's our unofficial results. As you see, David Gilliland wins in the 84 unsponsored Chevrolet. J.J. Yeley, Denny Hamlin, teammates second and third. Great day for the Busch regulars.
Yeah, Ashton Lewis in 5th place. That was a good run for him, and Mike Wallace as well.
2 weeks in a row, David Rudiman with good solid runs in the Aaron's Dream Machine. Kudos to those guys. They've struggled some in the first part of the year. Steve Wallace, you see him up there in 11th place. Another good run for him. And Boris Sid finished 14th on the lead lap.
John Andretti is the first car 1 lap down in 15th. Pretty decent run for him. Todd Cleaver with a top 20 finish, as well as Michelle Jourdain Jr., 18th. in the PPC Ford.
A lot of these guys right here, David Green, for example, was on pit road when the caution came out, caught him a couple laps down, but that's a tough thing to overcome.
Kevin Grubb had a very, very good run going early. He also had the same problem. He pitted, then the caution came out, put him a couple laps down. There's Carl Edwards, second in points coming into this race, ends up 36. Reed Sorensen, who was so strong early, lost that tire going into turn number 3, made hard contact with the outside wall. And Eric McClure brings up the rear in 43rd position.
I want to make sure we put out a word to send our best wishes to Jeff Fuller. Hope he's doing all right. Glad to hear the good news so far. Hope he's doing well.
Fox FX and Speed coverage of NASCAR continues tomorrow, beginning with NASCAR Race Day on Speed, leading up to Nextel Cup Series racing presented by AOL on Fox. And then NASCAR Victory Lane wraps up the entire weekend on Speed. Our coverage